You are now listening to Out of the Blank.
Welcome to another episode of Out of the Blank podcast. I'm here with Jerred Johnson.
How's it going?
Jerred, catch me up. It's been a long time. For people don't know, I'm staring at the definition of the Green Giant. You, sir, are standing how tall now?
6'6". 6.5 feet tall.
Now, you probably get asked all the time, like, how's the weather up there? And
Yeah, I get that.
Is it cloudy where you come from?
How's the weather? Yeah, I get a lot of, what's the view like?
Is that ever get annoying?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's got to be addressed, dude, when you're this freakishly tall. I mean, just to the average person.
Absolutely, definitely.
Like me sitting at 5'8", and like it's hard for me to reach to the top cabinet sometimes. And
True.
like you're just like, I got you, bro, and just pull right down.
Yeah.
So what you been up to, man?
Life.
What about life? What are you? Let's start off with the easiest question.
Sure.
What do you do professionally?
Right now?
Yeah.
Working with children and adults with special needs.
You work with kids with special needs.
Children and adults, but yeah.
We're about to go down this topic hardcore because I'm a big advocate of all that stuff. Yeah. Because first of all,
absolutely,
the time and patience that goes into dealing with people with special needs. So you don't just deal with small children. Like, give me an age range you're dealing with.
Mainly preteens and then teenagers. So prior to 21.
Do you deal with any older individuals, like maybe 40s or something?
Not yet, no.
No, but you're dealing with the young group. The ones
they're trying to put you around your age group.
Yeah.
Just because it makes sense.
So when'd you get started in all this, and when did you even decide you wanted to chase down that?
Yeah, so I don't know if you didn't go to Shao, right?
I did go to Shao for a little bit.
Okay. Well, you may or may not remember, I have a brother who's he's 2 years behind us, and he has severe autism.
They put him in that special room?
Yep.
Now I need to talk to you about this because the reason why I switched out from Shao was because before they put your brother in that room, I was put in that room.
Really?
Yes, it was a white room. It was right by where the trailers were outside. It was right. They turned it into a bathroom and ended up being a bathroom. But it literally had one small square window. You could look in through. There was the desk, white walls everywhere, man. That was the room. Because every time I say it, people are like, no way, the school actually did that to you. No, they took me out, the teachers did, said, get out of my class. They would shove me in that room, nothing, all day. This is before technology, so I'm sitting, before cell phones at least, so I'm sitting in there just, what am I going to do? And I just had ADHD so bad I couldn't sit still, and they thought I was mentally challenged.
Sure.
That's where I had to switch schools.
Yeah.
It's where it ruined me on education probably for the rest of my years. But, I mean, that's crazy that was your brother, because I remember when I was leaving and I saw him in there, I was like...
I'm sure he did.
He
lived in there, man.
That's not fair.
Yeah, they would bring him his lunch. He would just literally stay in there. Other than use the bathroom, he would just in that room.
Oh my God, I can't believe that was your brother.
Yeah.
Dude, that hits me hard here because the education system gave up on me, man. I didn't have a chance. And when back then at least, they're being a little bit more incorporated now with kids with mental disabilities and stuff.
Autism awareness.
But I don't know if it was just because it wasn't that frequent that there was a lot of people with disabilities, but they didn't give a shit, dude.
No, not really.
What was it like growing up with that? Just having a brother like that?
It was different. So, I mean, when I was younger, it was more hard because I didn't understand it, obviously. And neither did my parents. I mean, autism awareness was kind of a thing. It wasn't really big. It wasn't popular, but my parents were spending hours researching it, and then they're trying to figure out ways to work with him. And originally they thought he was deaf because he just wouldn't respond.
Yeah.
He would just, you'd call his name and he just would just stare around, or his big thing was he would hide in a corner or hide in the closet. He would just put his head into the corner and stay there for a while. You
know what that kind of reminds me of is, you ever seen Superman? When the newer one, when the mom was telling him to go see a fish and just kind of focus on one thing and then kind of go out to all of his senses. That's what it is with someone with mental disabilities. They're literally perceiving so much information, it's too much for their brain to handle.
Right.
And that's where I say they sometimes can be smarter than us.
Sure. Absolutely.
So was that did you feel like that was an embarrassment? You didn't want friends over your house?
At first, yeah. Definitely. Because the main issue was, so my dad worked full-time. My mom would stay at home. She probably wasn't going to do that, but because he had autism, it just created such a problem that she felt the need to stay home all the time. And so she like she didn't work until I was 17. She just stayed home all those years, and early on, like prior to 10 years old, I don't think anybody ever came over. If they did, it was probably just so I could run inside real quick. It wasn't like a full time.
You didn't want anybody there?
Yeah, that, and it just was too much for him, like himself. Like he just
to have all that new information.
Yeah, all that new stuff and his sensory information, and because kids that age want to be loud and play rock band or something, so he couldn't do that.
Did that kind of like stress you out a little bit? Like you felt like you didn't want him as a brother anymore?
No, I never had that issue. The issue I had was I just tried to adjust to it somehow. Like, my big thing was I would try to like lock myself into work, like chores or do something, so I would keep my mind off of what was going on. Because growing up, he never said anything. Like he did a little bit. He talked. He was just mainly nonverbal though.
Like just noises?
Yeah, it's noises, and they call it scripting. When like he watches, he's like a pre-2000 kid. So he's sort of 99. But so we watched all that stuff like Rugrats and Blue's Clues.
So he knows the good shows.
Yeah, the good shows.
Johnny
actually.
Bravo, yeah.
Yeah, all those. And he scripts, so he like takes lines and he just repeats them.
I do that.
But it's like all he does. Like he will say things to you now, but at that time
I can have an intelligent conversation now, but if you see me outside of work, I'm usually calling something from a movie or something.
It's fun.
That's got to be super hard just growing up knowing that, like that's there. Did you ever have the feelings like maybe he wasn't understanding like who we were, like that we're his family or anything?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they were trying sign language originally when he first was diagnosed, because you can't get diagnosed with autism until you're 2 years old.
Yeah, okay. So I actually have a quick question about that.
Sure.
It's because 2 years old because that's when they start using blocks, correct? And then when they're using blocks, the first sign for a kid with mentally challenged or mental disorder or some type of mental like disability like that is they stack them very, very neatly, like structured, like a very, very good building, like something that a small child cannot do, and it's color coordinated.
Right.
That's an actual thing,
OCD.
right?
I've heard of that, yeah.
Okay, because I mentioned that before, and I said that's the quick sign for a doctor to tell if somebody has like a child is going to be mentally developmentally challenged. Yeah. And people say it doesn't make sense. How would they be able to stack it perfectly? I'm like, because their brain is already progressed to a point of development where it's not going to progress any farther. So they cut to the end already from when they're born.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah, so like
I'm intelligent, thank God.
Right. Yeah, he was struggling early on, because especially with sign language, that was a waste of time. He did learn it, but he wouldn't. He could like read it, but he couldn't sign back, well at least, or he just get it completely wrong. And being 2 years old already, it's hard to comprehend stuff that you need to.
They try to teach him sign language too. That's difficult for anybody.
Right. Oh, it's very difficult.
And the funny thing is, you know why we chose sign language as an easy thing to teach kids with mental disabilities, or just if they get announced as deaf, is because of monkeys.
Really?
Because the easiest thing for a monkey to learn besides actual words is sign language. It's the closest thing we can learn to communicate with them. And that's weird that they think of people like of like a slower. You know what they used to call retardation, right? It was mongoloid idiot. That was on the birth certificate when they were born. When they were,
didn't know that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. So once we kind of got stigmatized to like the R word and everything and all that type of stuff, it became you don't even say retard, just say mental disability. Yeah. Because, I mean, ADHD, I have that. It's a mental disability. It's a disorder. It's just, it's in the same lines as schizophrenia. I'm like, but it's not as serious. I just don't ever get sleep. And
a lot of them are calling them developmental disorders. And they put it in a separate category for mental illness or mental disorders themselves, like schizophrenia or dementia or something like that. They call it developmental because they start younger, whereas most of the actual mental illnesses start pre-teens, teens.
So with your brother, and then trying to learn sign language at the age of 2, when did they start to figure out like he wasn't deaf? Like when he just wasn't?
It was actually like within 6 or 8 months, I think. I mean, it's earlier for me because I was like maybe a year and some months older than him. Mm-hmm. So I don't remember it completely. I just remember from stories, but it was within a year, because he would like turn his head whenever microwave went off. Or like there was a really large sound.
It's similar with PTSD when they like a loud sound goes off can trigger something where they have to freak out and get out of the room.
Right, and the thing with most deaf children is whenever they first realize that they're deaf, what they do is run away from noise, because the vibrations. It scares them.
That's why you can't take a kid like that to a concert.
Yeah.
Or if they do go somewhere with loud noise, like an amusement park or something, they have to have headphones on.
Yeah.
Because it just all that is just too much information for them to process.
Yeah, we did that when he was younger. We put headphones on when we went to the zoo or even the movies.
Yeah.
I mean,
usually somewhere new, like you have to experience something. He's gotta have some type of desensitization, so he's not bringing everything in at once.
Sure.
And the only reason I know so much about it is because I got really, really super interested in mental disabilities when I read a book. I don't know if you've ever heard of this book, but it's a spinoff of a book called Cruise Control.
Okay.
The other book, which I think you should definitely read, is called Inside Out. So it's based on Cruise Control is based from the brother Paul's perspective. Now he's about our age right now, and well, let's say a couple of years ago, but he's on his senior year, about to graduate. Okay. His brother is a freshman, but his brother has no, like, just like your brother, I guess, has no, like, but he's in a wheelchair and drools, and you just can't do anything, no responses, you know if he's there. Well, it's from the brother's perspective, it would be from your perspective of him, like, feeling like he hates his brother, but he has to protect him. Like he knows, like he doesn't understand if he's getting any of the love that he's giving out. And it's so, when you're hearing that from a first person point of view, it puts someone in your seat. Right. Where like you're dealing with that because you have a brother like that. So I think you might like that one. And then Inside Out is from the brother's perspective. His name is Sean. And
I think I heard about that one.
He's literally like super smart inside his head. He's like, I wish my body could respond and show them that I do understand them and I do love them. And then like always like, oh wait, now I'm drooling again. Oh great. And then it's like going into that. It's like hearing that and it's like, oh my God, like it throws. It's like when you watch Interstellar, that space movie with Matthew McConaughey. You get fucked up for like 2 weeks because you're like, you start perceiving things different. You're like, wait, do they like respond right? Like, am I the love that I'm giving to them? Are they receiving that in the correct way? Because you feel like, as much as you do, it's never enough. And then you're just like, what would be better for him? Would it be better? Have you ever had the thought, like, would it be better for him to just be gone? Yeah. Like, maybe he's just suffering?
Yeah, well, we've thought about it, because he's been in and out of inpatient care.
What?
So we've thought, like, even now, like, is it better just to send him to an inpatient facility and just visit him a couple times a week? Or
like, kind of like dealing with a grandparent or something that has dementia, and you're just like...
do I stick him in a home, or do I keep him at home and deal with it? It's a give and take, because it might be easier for you to put him somewhere else, but that, like in our case, one of the facilities he was in, he was abused.
Okay, hold on a second.
That was tough.
Why did you put him in inpatient care in the first place?
So he's self-injurious, which means when he gets upset,
he hits himself,
bites himself, scratches, pretty much anything.
That's very common.
Yeah. Very common, but in his case, it was pretty severe. Not as severe as everyone.
Yeah, some people just like pull a couple pieces of hair or something.
Yeah, some people are pretty minor. They just like hit a couple times, but he was hitting to the point where he was causing bruises, black eyes, bloody nose.
Not to throw this sensitive information out there, but I actually remember walking by. It was my end. Third goes up to third grade with Shao.
Okay.
Transferred out in third grade.
Gotcha.
But I remember the one day where I really got upset, and they immediately took me out before I even showed up, and were gonna put me in that room. But your brother was in there before me.
Yeah.
So, and they were only there for the morning, the first couple of hours. Mm-hmm. So, they had your brother in there, and he was slamming his head on the metal desk. And I walked by and saw that. I was like, oh my God. And I've mentioned this before in my podcast. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember seeing that kid in there. I'm like, nobody's helping this guy. Like, it's where I really gave up on the education system. And I went to a whole better system, Buckingham. They helped me out so much.
Gotcha.
But, like... It's not to take from the whole point, but like, so he would do that type of stuff, like hit his head on the desk.
And then, so it wasn't as bad then, but as he got bigger, the injuries, he was like physically bigger.
He got stronger.
And stronger, right? Yeah. So he was hurting himself, and then it got to a point where he was hurting others. That's where the problem really started.
Who like, give me an example of who he hurt. Some kid in his class?
Well,
or something?
Yeah, it could be them, but it most likely just whoever's closest.
Did they try and give him a behavior book?
Yeah, the little flip book.
The little smiley face and sad face things. Yeah, I got that.
They've had that.
Yeah. That actually worked on me, though.
I forget what the other one's called, but it was like the Velcro with the stickers.
Oh my God.
Where it was like, I want food.
Dude, if he got a seatbelt on the bus, then he's just like me, because I got a seatbelt.
I don't remember if he did or not.
I got a seatbelt.
He wears a harness now, but I don't remember if he did then.
A while
ago.
Like, watching him hurt, like, other people around him, like, did he ever hurt anybody in your family?
Oh, yeah.
But
us more so than anyone.
Yeah, because you guys try to
Respect.
control them and stuff, like hug
Right.
them or something, make them
Right.
like sit still.
Yeah. Well, so what we learned to do was separate him, put him into his room, and like he would either lay down or just run around, do what he has to do.
Get the energy out.
Yeah, get it out. Like he's sometimes you just have to work it out. A lot of times it's OCD. He's trying to throw stuff. He's trying to write something. He's trying to steal something from someone. Like a big thing is when we go to the boardwalk, he'll try to steal someone's fries. Like the Thrasher's sitting there. We're just like walking by and he just got a handful of fries. And we're like,
We all do it. I don't know.
That from?
That's not weird.
it's not weird, but some people get mad.
Wait a minute.
They get mad.
That's stealing?
Yeah, it's
That's
theft.
all, hey,
I guess.
take one and you get a handful.
I mean, one's one thing.
It's like when you go to a McDonald's with your girlfriend or something, and she's like, "Can I have a fry?" And you're like, "Sure," and then she ends up eating the whole thing. You're like, "Why don't I just order you one next time?"
Right. But they don't want their own.
No,
They don't. They just want yours.
Savages.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's tough. But,
was it ever difficult? Like sometimes you're just like, "Do we have to bring them out somewhere? Like, do we have to do
absolutely.
that?"
Like so the big thing was when I was playing sports, and someone had to choose who was going to stay and who was going to come, or if they would try to bring him, which would just bring all the attention to him if he got upset, or if he was just loud in general. Because he would, if you try sitting in the front or the back, and there's this little kid wearing headphones and he's got an iPad or the flip book or something, it's going to draw attention, and then, that could, when I was a kid at least, that upset me.
Did you feel like just playing sports, like your parents were more worried about like your brother?
Not just in sports, just in life, man. I mean, because he has special needs, so just in the definition itself, they have to spend more time
and they have to focus.
Attention to
so
it.
you're like, did you ever have moments where you kind of broke out and were like, "Hey, like I'm your son too"? Like,
no, there were times like I ran away just to get attention. I wouldn't actually physically run away, but I say I would, and just go to the woods out back.
And I did that too. One time I hid in the closet.
I went into the laundry room.
8 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that a couple times.
My mom
just
left.
gone under
My
the
mom
steps.
just left and went to work,
Yeah.
and I was like thinking
Yeah,
she was still
that's
there,
tough.
dude. It was, but I mean, we all did that when we were kids, dude.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, you felt misplaced. So what ages
Yeah.
were you acting out like this? Like, were you like trying to feel like? When did you start realizing like, hey, my parents are focusing more time on my brother than me?
Age 10 is when I made the turn. Prior to that, that's when I knew that that there was just no way around it. They were just going to pay more attention to him, period. And then once I hit 10, that's when I really started to act out.
Dude, I wish you would have came to me and talked to me.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I would have been your friend
I
too.
didn't want to talk to anybody, man.
It's-
I don't know if you remember me early on.
Yeah,
but
you always kind of walk through the hall real fast and
Yep.
get out of the way.
Yep.
Now, it's
Pretty
kind
much
of a divergent topic,
Yeah.
but how tall is your brother?
He's 6'4" now.
He's 6'4".
Mhm.
Is
20
he
years old.
been developmentally behind, not just like with the mental capacity, but physically?
No.
Because
No, he's been
sometimes,
good physically.
like the book Cruise Control,
Mhm.
with the guy Paul that was functioning fine and his brother was not. Well, Paul was a basketball star going on to college, would play
Gotcha.
basketball scholarships, all
Yeah.
very athletic, very.
Mhm.
He seemed like he got double the traits that
Sure.
the other kids got, like all
Yeah.
the traits that it was in the mentally challenged brother got put into him.
Mhm.
Did you ever feel that way? Like you felt like where you exceeded in school and you exceeded in like physical capabilities
So
and things like
my
that.
parents pushed me to get honor roll and president's or principal's list and all that stuff. And then in sports, they would be like, you gotta stay after for an extra half hour to get the coach to like you. Maybe I'll put you in more, that kind of thing. So they were always pushing me to strive for the best from day one. But with everything going on, I just tried to. Like I said earlier, when I was trying to keep myself just keep my head down, like you said, I just walked through the halls.
Yeah.
I was just focusing on getting the work done, going home. And when I was at this playing sports, it was just play the game, then go home.
You just felt like it was a task. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't going to mean
just,
anything.
right, pretty much, yeah.
That's-
It was wake up in the morning, go to school, go to football practice, go home, eat dinner, and go to bed.
Mm.
I mean, I had friends, I did things, but
You kind of
But
felt like,
that's-
what's the point?
pretty much, yeah. It was just why.
Dude, I mean, it's hard to hear because I'm hearing this and I'm like, I know a lot about mentally. I mean, not probably as much as you do, just
Sure.
dealing with them on a daily basis. But
Yeah.
a lot of times I get really upset when I go to a grocery store and I see them pushing shopping carts because that's the only job they're willing or they're able to
Yeah.
do. But it's like they have other jobs that they can be
Sure.
able to do. Now, I actually have had someone on my podcast before. His name's Stevie J. But he works with developmentally disabled children, kids
Okay.
without a bad homes and stuff
Sure.
like that, and
Yeah.
trying to find them jobs.
Mm.
And I don't understand, why is it always the shopping cart? Why is it always that? Is that just because it's a simple task?
It's that, and then there are a few others I've seen mainly through like Easter Seals and like Cedar Chapel and the Worcester County Developmental Center.
Like churches and
They'll
stuff
push,
too.
they'll do like stocking shelves overnight.
But does it suck? Do you think like they can't do? You feel like they can't do another task? Because like, I see them out in the wintertime, out in the freezing cold, doing the shit no one wants to do by pushing all these carts and going all the way around.
Sure.
And it feels like they don't want to do it either. But that's the only job like everyone is willing to give them the time to. Like I would be more than happy just like. You know, having a couple of them. I would like to teach an art class, to be honest with you, of a bunch of them, because they have the most creativity I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just, I feel like it's blocked.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are just so willing to steer away from these people and take their, like, go out of their way to not avoid, basically to avoid these people just because they're seen as, like, zombies or freaks. And, like, they're not freaks. They have, like feelings, they have thoughts, they have things. It's just really hard for them to express them.
It's expressing like socialization and
I'm
even like saying. So like a big thing for Dylan is he just can't. He has a hard time formulating words. So he could say like I want water, like I want to go somewhere.
But he'll just say water.
Yeah, he'll say I like the phrase I want something, but it'll be like if he doesn't know what it is, if he doesn't know what he wants, if he doesn't know what it's called, or like if he just can't put the words out from his brain, that's when he gets frustrated.
Oh, that's when he gets upset.
Yeah.
I just usually scream, I want that, if I don't know the word for it. But I got the benefit of reading a dictionary over and over again from 7th grade to like 11th grade because that's the only book I felt like reading. And kind of fancied my words up a little bit so I sound intellectual, but I'm actually not.
Sure.
But I mean, I started researching all of that type of stuff after that book I read, and I was just like getting real fascinated to it. I was like, if anybody really took the time to understand someone like this, like you would understand that they're people just like us. And is that why you decided that you wanted to jump into this realm, like help? Because first of all, you're telling me you're working with these kids, and then you're telling me your brother's disabled like one of these kids, and then I mean not trying to compare them to them, but. Then you're saying like how affected you were by your brother, just like emotionally, because you felt like your whole family was crippled by just having him as like I guess an anchor to you.
Right.
And then also rising above that and becoming something to the point where you're literally like helping other people like this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And especially kids like your brother's age, basically. You're not dealing with, older people. You're dealing with just people around his base age. Mm-hmm. Does that hit so close to home to you? Like, do you feel like you have to take each individual time, like schedule everything out just for one kid?
Sure. So each kid has their own behavioral plan, where we set goals usually every quarter, and then we try to reach them. And it could be like basic stuff like just cleaning after they eat, or not pushing people when they want them to move out of their way, or they could be really advanced, like trying to learn how to use money, how to do a specific task like mopping, sweeping.
Shit,
so they could try
dude,
to go.
I might need one of these plants, man. Don't push people out of the way. I have to tell you.
A lot of people need it.
Yeah, trust me. Yeah. I think I don't even think that should even be for mentally disabled people. I feel like that should be just for people in general.
I know plenty that can benefit.
Do you know?
Something like that.
Do you think that society is getting a better grasp of what we need to do to be more caring?
Or being more cognizant of it.
Yeah.
Not using the R word. And trying to give them like each their own specific program, individualized, instead of just everyone stick them in a room. We don't want them with the normal kids kind of thing, but I don't think it's a perfect system because, like I was telling you earlier with the inpatient care when he was abused, like that's across the board with like inpatient facilities at nursing homes and even with mental institutions, that kind of thing. Abuse is rampant, big time.
When did you start to kind of be in schooling for this type of thing? You had to go to school for it, correct?
You don't have to, no. But you
to
do
deal
have
with
to
mentally
have,
challenged kids?
You have to have training. So they have their own, like a lot of them say like you need 100 hours of caring for people with autism.
Kind of like a personal fitness certificate or
less,
something. You need to have like
you gotta have a certain
hours
amount of
under
hours,
some
something
supervisor
like
or something.
Mm-hmm. And they have stuff like that, but I didn't go to school for that, actually. I went to Warwick, graduated in December.
I just got my diploma today. It literally just came in the mail. I was like, thank God, because I already became a minister under the Church of Bacon. I did a bunch of stupid stuff. I was waiting for my diploma. I was like, I'm going to get everything possible.
I love Warwick.
So early childhood development is what you went for?
No, I went for general ed.
You went for general education. Then you just decided that you wanted to do some extra hours to get...
Yeah, so right out of high school, you had to have the diploma, high school diploma, or a GED, to work with children and adults with special needs. So I started here on the shore, working at Oceanfront Counseling right on Racetrack Road. And I did that until I graduated Warwick. And then I went to College Park and started in January 2017, studying criminology and criminal justice.
Are you trying to dive out of the realm of dealing with special needs kids?
Yeah, more. I mean, I've applied to a whole bunch of jobs from all the way from Virginia and all the way up to the Baltimore area, all the way to here. Looking for an office job, state job kind of thing. I was looking to go into law enforcement. That was going to be my goal. But in the end of March this year, I was in a car accident. It was pretty minor. My car was totaled, but I strained and sprained my neck and back, and I'm still having issues with it.
How did you get into a car accident?
They hit me from behind.
Pennsylvania?
Yeah. No, they were all Maryland, but it was DC drivers, so
okay.
DC Baltimore.
That's a little bit different.
Yeah, it was actually right in front of Fort Meade. I was
dude, where the freaking Jedi program happened.
Yeah.
You know about that?
I don't. No.
Men who stare at goats, bro.
I don't.
Dude, I did a podcast on it. You gotta look it up, man. It's called the Jedi Project. You've never seen Men Who Stare at Goats?
Mm-hmm. I've seen memes about it.
Okay, it's on Netflix. If you have Netflix, watch it.
I haven't. Okay.
It's with George Clooney, but it's they believe they have psychic powers, and the government tried to create psychic Jedis, which is it was nuts.
Didn't know that.
But
I'll keep that in mind.
You what's your passion then? Because you obviously enjoy helping special needs, so you don't want to chase it as a career. Because I feel like that'd be a perfect fit for you.
I don't. It would be, but for a lot of people, it's 9 to 5, and then they clock out. For me, it's 9 to 5, and then I go home, and I clock in at home.
Yeah, you don't clock out ever.
Ever.
You have that all around you, 24/7.
I mean, when I was at College Park, I stayed in College Park most of the week, but a lot of the weekends I came home. So.
Do you feel like it's just the whole fact there's no point in you getting a job in that because you don't want to be around that 24/7?
Yeah, it's not that there's no point. It's just that that's not what I want. It's a great career and it's been very rewarding, but I can't see myself doing it until I'm 65.
If anything, that just progressed your education on dealing with development, better ways to deal with your brother.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. They taught me all kinds of things, defensive maneuvers. So when he is trying to hit me, how to handle it if they're biting. And because that's your initial reaction is, you turn around and he's punching you in the head and your initials cock back. But then you got to look him in the eye and realize he's not trying to hurt you. That's just how he's dealing with whatever he's going through.
One teacher I saw, and I still want to talk to him to this day about it, but Mr. Booth, a teacher that pushed me to get after my goals and pursue everything, and he believed I could go to college. I saw him, Mark DeBuo.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
Mark freaked out and ran up to Mr. Booth and just started hitting him. I mean, freaking out.
Yeah.
Mr. Booth just grabbed him by the shoulders, went down to his elbows, kind of his arms, and said, "No, no."
Yeah.
And it just stopped. He said, "Look at me, no." And I didn't realize this, but I podcasted with my one third grade teacher from Buckingham, and she told me it's because his daughter is mentally challenged in a wheelchair and everything, and he's probably dealt with it before. That's how he knows how to handle those situations. Having a teacher that knows how to be equipped to deal with something like that, so much benefit.
Oh yeah.
You're telling me those teachers can go above and beyond just to do anything, because nobody knows the strain of. I don't know the strain of dealing with a mentally challenged person, and I don't mean strain to be very, very bad or unprogressive, I guess you should say, but it's a task.
Right.
It's not an easy thing, and the one fear I've always had in my life was I don't know if I would be able to be equipped to have a child with special needs. I don't know what I would be able to do, because so many parents are not equipped to deal with it.
Absolutely.
That's when they leave and do these types of things, and that's always stopped me from wanting to have a kid, because I've just been afraid, I know I messed up, and just because I had the biggest fear of this, it's probably going to be a reality one day.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, the incidence of autism is increasing every year with children, especially male children.
Why do you think that is?
I mean, the anti-vax moms will tell you it's the vaccinations.
Yo, they say vaccination causes freaking autism. I'm like, whoa, bro.
So, have you ever read that study?
No.
The one that this whole hysteria came from in the early 2000s? So the guy had a pool of 20 kids, right? That he was how many of you were vaccinated? How many weren't? How many have autism? Pretty much. The problem was, obviously, his pool was 20 kids. And most of the kids, including like 3 of them, he knew because 3 of them were his kids. And then the other 17 were ones that went to that kid's school. So he literally just grabbed 20 kids, put them in a room, was like, half of them have autism. It must be the vaccinations.
Oh my God.
And then, I don't know why, but everybody decided to run towards it. I mean, it got national.
I'll get somebody sick. I don't give a shit.
I'm not
losing
that's
anything.
people, they were like, no. Like, we thought that. Because we're like, oh, like, he had his vaccinations a couple weeks before he developed it.
Oh, shit. Really?
So we're like, oh, it was definitely... I mean, it wasn't all of them. But, you know, when you're younger, you get all kinds of vaccinations. And you probably just got, like, a flu shot or something. But,
yeah. Especially when your parents tell you, like, they're not going to rip the Band-Aid off, and then they rip that shit off hard, and you're like...
mm-hmm. Yeah. And then he just... I mean, when he was, like, before 2, he was actually talking a lot. He was developed a lot. And, like, they thought he should just go straight to kindergarten.
That's
like,
what they talk about, being progressed to already the fullest extent he's going to be able to be.
Yeah.
And I'm actually glad, because that study I read on that was with the color coordinated blocks and stacking, it's like stacking them correctly. It's like doctors use that as a diagnosis tool. And ADHD is simple. It's like if the kid won't sit down or won't take naps and have hard time sleeping at a young age, then he's probably going to be progressed forward to developmental disorder.
Right.
Attention.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
I just get, like, I go mind crazy where I thought I wanted to go into be a psychologist, because I enjoy hearing people's stories. I enjoy hearing people...
Like therapists and stuff.
Yeah. But I mostly like coming down, like, to just how the human brain works. I'm very fascinated with just, like, how you can get a slight bump on your head. Next thing you know, you can talk in a foreign accent for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Like, you ever heard of that?
There's the guy that had the metal rod through his head. Did you hear about him?
No.
I forget. It was, like, early 1900s. Yeah, I forget his name, but he was working on like a railroad, I believe.
Nothing good happens on a railroad.
No, especially
Stand By Me taught everybody that.
Yeah, everybody lost limbs and all kinds of stuff. But he, like a TNT went off, dynamite or something, and one of the rods that goes across the railroads, not the metal part where the tracks are, but the ones that go across. One of them went straight up through his jaw and through like the front of his head. And I think it went through his eye. And like went up out like the cheekbone, so it was pretty close, but it did touch like his frontal cortex, like pretty hard. But it was so hot that it singed it, so he lived. He didn't bleed out.
Oh, it soldered it, so he didn't have to bleed out or anything.
He didn't bleed out. He was like he didn't even go unconscious.
Damn,
he stood up and there was this rod sticking out.
Did they fucking take it out?
I don't remember. I think they didn't.
They were probably just like, fuck it.
I think they just cut it.
That's nuts, man.
And then they
every
said,
time you walk through a metal detector, you're basically screwed.
Yeah,
TSA's got to stick a light up your ass.
I hope they'll be able to see it. Yeah, he they said like his family and his friends, they all said he changed. He went from like this sweet, loving guy to like this complete...
You ever heard of Sam Kinison?
Mm.
You know Roseanne?
Yeah.
She got hit by a car when she was little, and she completely changed personalities to the famous person we all know today.
Yeah.
Before that, she was a book smart person, highest in math class, everything, like schoolgirl, everything. And she got hit by a car, I think when she was 16 years old. Wow. Everything completely changed. She actually talks about that in a podcast. And it's like, the things that happen, like Sam Kinison, famous comedian, like outlandish, screaming, yelling, all this type of stuff, like drunk, all this type of stuff, completely changed. And you can read his from a book from his brother called My Brother Sam, and it goes into how after this one car accident he went from completely shy kid to just outright bursting out and all this like thing like that was what took him to open up.
Right.
Now when it comes to head trauma, like I was saying, someone that hits their head and gets foreign accent syndrome, or someone like you can hit your head hard enough you go blind, you hit your head hard enough you lose functions. It's so sensitive, and I'm just so mind boggled at like how we don't know anything about this thing that is so close to us. Like, I mean, it's right there. And it really brought to light when I heard a doctor say that he thinks that the spirit is in the brain. And the reason why is because we relate the spirit to being in the chest. But a doctor can replace anything in your chest and you're still you. But you touch anything about someone's brain and you're immediately changing who they are. Right. So that's just... Yeah. And that's like the one thing that's been hardest for us to try. Like, we can replace a failing heart. We can't replace a failing brain. If once we replace a brain, it's not you anymore. It's somebody else. If I took your brain out and put someone else's brain in there, it's not going to be Jerred. It's going to be whoever that guy's brain is.
Absolutely. Yeah, you change all up.
Do you feel like you should go down a science path, or do you really feel like you're stuck to the criminal type?
Well, I went to criminology because I was interested in kind of the same stuff. Like, how does someone become a serial killer. Like, why?
Do you watch the
Yeah.
serial killer shows on Netflix?
I watch a few of them. I've seen like the Ted Bundy and the
Yo, my Netflix channels, like if you watch my history,
yeah.
it is like comedy special, documentary, killer show.
Yeah.
Now, if it showed the timing on all these, I'm pretty sure CIA would be at my door. Like, what the hell's going on, man? Why are you watching serial killer documentaries at 3 o'clock in the morning? I'm like, because it's fascinating, dude.
Yeah,
You start hearing
absolutely.
why they go after this stuff, and like. There was one dude that talked about he killed like 20 women or something, and then he like raped the bodies after he killed them, and he's like, why would you, like, they asked him like, why did you do this? And he's like, to have sex with them, and he's like, what? And he just kept going, to have sex with them. And he was getting upset that they kept asking him.
Yeah.
I'm like, where does this person's brain go? That's got to be something but the weirdest thing about the brain is, it could be at birth, it can be developed. It can be, it's just a random snap occurrence.
Right.
I just go batshit nuts trying to figure that out.
Was it the one you saw? Was that about Arthur Shawcross? Is that the same one? He was in Rochester, New York.
I don't remember if that's his name or not.
Yeah, it was like an older fat guy. At that point, he was in jail. He was.
They all seem to be like older fat guys, unless that or they look like meth heads and they're just like completely cracked out.
So there's a documentary. I think it's literally called like Inside the Mind of a Killer or something like that, and it's on him. I did a paper on him.
Does he have white hair?
Oh yeah.
Like short hair. He's got a beard.
With glasses.
Okay, yeah, I remember
glasses,
I've seen that one, but that's not him.
Okay, well he's wild. That guy. So I wrote a paper because my criminology professor asked us to write about a serial killer other than the ones we talked about in class.
Like Charles Manson.
We didn't talk about him, but we did talk about like Ted Bundy and the Zodiac Killer and that kind of thing. But I looked it up because I was trying to find there's like 3 main reasons why serial killers are the way they are. It's like biological, and then they have like their social interactions, like being abused, and then there's just the emotional, just like you said, like the snap. Yeah. They just change, and this guy had pretty much all 3. He fit all 3. So
that's pretty like the devil.
Yeah, he was a bad guy. Bad guy. He started off with 2 kids when he was less than 16, 15, 16 maybe. It was a boy and a girl. And he was charged with the boy, but he wasn't charged with the girl because he told them where the body was. They couldn't find it. But he left the boy underneath the bridge. And when they found him, like, he stuffed his mouth with dirt to keep him from crying. And he raped both of them before he strangled them.
How far does someone have to snap to go to doing that shit?
So he says that his mom used to sodomize him with the broom handle.
Oh my god, dude.
And then his uncle made him sleep with his sister, but they both denied that. Hands down. So,
I mean, take it as come out that I slept with my brother, but...
And he wouldn't want to say that I raped my son all the time. So, I mean, take that as you will, but... then he went off. He only served like 15 years for good behavior. That was part of the deal. And then when he got out, he joined the military.
They let him in the military?
During Vietnam.
Oh shit, okay.
So they just sent him. Now he says he was a weapons specialist, and the Army's record says that he was a supply man. He was literally just handing out guns.
Dude, I don't even see that as like all people are psychopaths, man, in their own freaking way, all right?
Oh, yeah.
The government has been into some crooked, dark shit. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't know if you ever heard about Willowbrook State School. Mm-hmm. Okay, there was an old Army hospital that got turned into a high school that they used for mentally challenged kids.
Yeah.
Okay?
I've heard stuff like that.
Now, this hospital, 90% of the people that went there developed hepatitis. Okay? They started experimenting on these. It was a school meant for 3,000 total people to go there. They had 5,000 to 6,000 mentally disabled kids there. And this was happening in 1976. Wow. So parents would literally pull up, open up the door, get the fuck out of the car, and they would never check on their kid again. Some would not. Yeah. Most of them did not. Because they didn't know. It was like dropping your kid off at an orphanage. You need to come back because they were getting taken care of or whatever. Right. Okay. They wouldn't shower for weeks, and then when they had to shower, it was 12 of them in one shower being sprayed with a hose. There was shit on the floor. There's literally pictures you can look up of all of them just naked, just standing around, like, freaking out. Like, that's why I say society's become more open to being more aware of mentally disabled. But the kids were developing hepatitis, and then also they were being injected with hepatitis. They were trying to cure it, so they were testing them like little rats.
Yeah.
I think throughout history, I don't know if it's ever going to end, we have a disregard, not just for, experimenting or doing these types of things to people that are different from us. That's it. Doesn't matter if they, we've experimented on people that, if anything, they don't look anything like us. They're not alive anymore, or they're from a whole other culture. But also how willing we're able to look at someone that looks exactly like you and me, but completely just brain, it seems like, is inactive.
Right.
And it actually is more active than the average brain. It's just they don't have a way of expressing it. There's a certain part of, like, if you look at most of the kids with mental disabilities, their part of the brain where their creativity is, where our creativity in our brain is, theirs is highlighted so much more.
Yeah.
They have a massive, like, just interaction of everything. It seems like they're more active in that part. Yeah. But where their speech, where their, like, cognition, all that type of stuff is severely lacking. It's basically dead like a zombie. There's a little bit of light in there.
Yeah, sometimes it is, but a lot of it, they act like that part of the brain just straight up dies. Like there's just no brain cells at all in there because the brain just doesn't send any more signals to it. So there's no point.
It's unresponsive, yeah.
Unresponsive. So the doctors and the experts, they all look at it. Experts. I mean, people in general. We all focus on the fact that they have dead parts of the brain instead of these really active parts that we just can't tap into. There's ways to. It's just hard. Yeah. Very, very difficult.
Well, like a kid that doesn't speak, like is mute, you give sign language or you give something to help him express that. It's a whole other outlet of trying to reach that thing he can't do. I never understood being mute, though. Was that just the thing, like you didn't want to talk or you just didn't have the ability to know how to talk?
I feel like a lot of them just don't want to.
I mean, like I don't want to talk half the time. They just don't want to. Either.
Like they just don't feel like they need to, I guess. I mean, it's got to be something like biological, too, but...
Where did you learn all this stuff, like, about with the whole brain activity thing with mentally challenged people? Where did you learn all this?
I learned a lot from AP Psychology in high school. And then I took 3 or 4 psych classes at Warwick and a couple at UMD.
Which psych classes did you take at Warwick? I took abnormal psychology, I took advanced psychology, I took
human growth and development.
Took that one too. I took child drug classification and pharmacy.
I didn't take that one.
I took that one. That was to better myself. I wanted to learn that one. I also took chemical dependency. I took a bunch of shit.
I took the one as like social interactions or human interactions.
Yeah,
or
I took that one too.
Growth,
human growth and interaction.
There's that. Yeah. Took those, and then at UMD I took, they didn't take my AP scores, so I had to retake psych. But I took a bunch of crim courses.
You're going to University of Maryland?
I was going to College Park. I graduated in May. So.
Well, congratulations, brother. I know you said that earlier. I meant to say congratulations.
You're good.
I'm trying to go to probably UMES or Salisbury University. Yeah. I want to go further for like a bachelor's, but I really want to dive into psychology realms because I feel like I can do a lot to help just because I'm pretty relatable to like a lot of kids, and I was bullied pretty bad through school, so I picked up going to the gym with that, and then just working out every day, and like I kind of forced that into a little bit of a bad habit, but I mean it's only bettered my life really, and trying to chase down these different things. I feel like we're all trying to find a path in this world.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's so hard because there's so many outlets we can look to, and I feel like a lot of people just neglect stuff because they look at what's easiest. Right. And like for you, it's you have the hardest as it is. You have to deal with these things that you don't even see as a challenge anymore. You just see like it's a part of you now because you've learned how to deal with it. But like I can totally relate to you when you're growing up and trying to go through this, like trying to find out who you are, and at the same time you feel like nobody's listening to you.
Yeah, it was that, and I like especially in high school, I had the hardest time finding one social group because I fit into like 5 at the same time.
You wore freaking redneck clothing, and then you also were part of the firefighters, and then you were also like freakishly tall, so you can go with the basketball team, and then shit.
Yeah, and then like we would all post up in the hallway, especially on Mondays after The Walking Dead. It's like Dylan Bradford and Drew Lito, and we all post up.
ROTC, bro.
Our ROTC squad would post up, and we just Walking
Everybody.
Dead.
Oh my god, Walking Dead. Everybody was so fascinated. I don't watch that shit anymore.
No, I gave up on that after the whole prison thing.
That's what I did too.
Yeah,
my mom's like, "Oh my god, can you believe Rick died?" I'm like, "Who gives a shit?" Like,
Yeah, it's too much.
It went
Carl's
on way
dead.
too
I mean,
far. Now I had to rewatch for when Carl died because I was waiting for that shit to happen since day one.
Oh, so apparently he's not dead, or is that Rick?
No, that's with Rick, obviously, because I saw Rick's
that died but didn't die.
I saw Rick's death. I looked it up on YouTube, and I saw Carl's death and looked it up on YouTube. Carl got bit, and then someone shot him, and then Rick exploded, and then apparently,
he lived through it.
Fuck it, the show's over with anyway. It's gonna
he
turn.
lived through a coma.
Game of Thrones is gonna head that way too. I bet you $20, man. Are you a Game of Thrones fan?
I'm not.
I've never watched one episode of Game of Thrones. High five, because
not once.
Fuck everybody else.
Not once.
I can't handle that show.
It's
dude.
cool. I'm sure people love it, but I've heard after the ending.
Dude, everyone cries after they hear like, "Did you see the last episode of Game of Thrones?" I'm like, no,
nope,
because I have a life and I prefer doing other things than watching a mindless show about dragons.
Like I said, sure it's cool. It seems a lot like the Lord of the Rings thing, but I wasn't really into that either. So.
I've only seen bits and pieces of Lord of the Rings, and I've only seen bits and pieces of The Matrix. I don't know what the hell. I've never seen a full thing, I don't think. I just watch bits and pieces of it. Like, oh, he can bend a spoon now?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Wait, he's blocking bullets? He's Keanu. But, I mean, you see someone like that on the big screen, and you look at, look at other people that don't have that benefit of being so talented and gifted, and it seems like they have literally nothing to benefit in general.
Yeah.
I talk about idiot savant syndrome. Do you know what idiot savant syndrome is? Okay, idiot savants are not all the times mentally challenged people, but most of the time they are. But they have an impeccable skill where their brain is lacking in the art of expression and the art of being able to understand and do these types of things. They seem to be either be really musically talented. Let's say a kid with mentally, like a lot of, I guess you could say autistic kids, are able to play the whole works of Shakespeare. Not Shakespeare, but being Beethoven.
Yeah.
Like, be able to play the piano. You ever seen that a movie? Dun, 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 and like perfectly. And you're like, how does he know how to do that? He's not even looking at the keyboard. He's just like all over the place. It's because it's called idiot savant syndrome. And it's like out of I think it's 0.4% of the world or something like that has this type of syndrome. But it's 40% of kids with mentally challenged disorders have it.
Yeah.
So we're the smallest percentage of people of the population, let's say 6%, I'm just making up a random thing, have a type of autism. Then you got to think, 40% of that, 6%, is, that's what is that, 2.7 or 2.6 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, dude.
Yeah.
And to think, the one guy that he was mentally challenged and he had severe autism. They just flew him over the New York skyline and he was able to draw the whole thing by memory. Perfectly.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's
absolutely insane.
Have you ever tried testing your brother for that? Not something so severe, but seeing if he can play music properly or play music better than the average person.
Yeah, he's into technology.
Can he build stuff?
Technology. Not really. His hand-eye coordination, motor skills aren't great, but he loves. He gets an iPad. He has 2 of them. He loves them.
He has 2 iPads
because he kills the battery. He watches YouTube. He watches the old videos of Rugrats and Blue's Clues and.
Oh, he's addicted to the older shows.
Yeah.
Is it because he can't focus on the new shows?
Yeah, it just doesn't interest him. Because this was all those shows were all prior to his. Diagnosis, right? His development. So
it's they were already kind of written into his head.
Yeah, right. So then when he did develop it, it just.
Do you think he developed it or he was born with it?
It's possible he was born with it, but.
But you see it more as a development.
I see more of he developed it as time went on.
How do you think he could have developed it just naturally, or do you think there might have been a slight bump or something?
Sure, it's possible. He was a natural birth, but. I don't know of any problems.
You said, around 2 years he got diagnosed. It could have been at one point, maybe he hit his head too hard in the cradle or something.
You never know. Could be.
That's kind of.
Could be. It could be anything. It could be exposure to secondhand smoke. So my parents both smoked.
Did they stop after he was diagnosed with that?
No, they started more.
Oh shit.
Anything, yeah. They wouldn't do it in the house, but still in the car. That was legal back then, and he was exposed to it.
It's still legal now, isn't it?
It's not well in the car. It's illegal. But
Wait, in the car, smoking with a child in the car is illegal
under
now?
18, the state of Maryland.
Yeah, I know some people who about to get arrested.
Yeah, a lot of people
Shit, that was
don't
like
know
a
about it. But
daily
it's a
task for my parents. Like smoking in the car
Yeah.
when I was in there.
Yeah, my parents were too bad about that, but even if you're still like, I remember at least my mom and dad did close to 2 packs a day when they were back.
Damn, dude, my grandma does a garden a day. I can't.
That's tough.
That's just tough,
That's
especially
tough.
the hard ass camels, yo.
I mean, how?
Your
How do
throat
you
is-
suck down that much? That's a lot.
I guess it becomes like the same thing. Like you get addicted to something. You're just like one is okay, and then your tolerance builds up,
Yeah.
and then it takes 2, and then it takes 3, and then it takes 4, and then it takes 5, and the next thing you know, you're doing a pack, and then another pack.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just goes down deep down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
You're,
I don't get it, but
when you're dealing with, I'm just trying to think, because like,
Mhm.
so when you're helping kids, who's like, what's the biggest case you've ever had with helping someone with developmental disorders? But not saying your brother, but someone that you that wasn't your family that you experienced, like helping through your, I guess education in this field.
so most of them are high functioning, as we call them, or low on the spectrum, either one you want to call it. So the hardest part for one of my clients was he was very good at speaking. He had all of his motor functions and all, but socially, he just went with whatever he was on his mind. So if he saw an attractive girl, he'd just tell her. If he saw like fries, he would just say like, "I'm gonna take your fries." Like social boundaries, he just didn't understand.
Yeah, but I don't even call that being low on the spectrum. I call that, if that's low on the spectrum, then everyone in the world's low on the spectrum,
Yeah,
because
well,
I know
I mean,
so many people that do that.
I didn't necessarily agree with it when my bosses sent me the case, but I mean, you do have the pick. I could have said no, but
That was your hardest one?
it was the most work,
Most work.
hands down, most work, because it's much easier for me to like go to someone like my brother and be like, I need you to load the dishwasher. All you have to do is like redirect them from whatever they're doing, like some kind of leisure activity. Take them to the dishwasher and say, now it's time to load it.
Distract them with something else. Give them a task.
Yeah, that's it. When you're done, you have 15 minutes of leisure time. They will do it, move on.
Yeah, giving incentive is everything.
His kid, not so much. Like he understands that like if you're trying to do positive reinforcement like that, he doesn't fall for the trick. So it's like, it's more trying to talk him into it as opposed to just making him do it. So it's like you can't go up to a girl and say that I think you look like this or I wish I could do this with you or to you or something like that. It has to be like, if it looks like they're about to do it, then you try to intervene and try to redirect, but then he figures it out because he's high functioning. So he's like, I know what you're doing, and he'll tell me that. I'm like, well, that's my job, so I'm gonna do it. But
Well, yeah, what else do you want me to do,
I
man?
mean, and the other hard part is his family, not really supportive from day one. They didn't really think that I was doing anything or that anyone in my job was helping the kid. They thought that it was a waste of time, and the mom was a single mom, but she had a lot of boyfriends coming in and out that were, we'll say, less than perfect people in that house. They weren't really charismatic. They weren't thinking about the situation, what I was trying to do. So if we're trying to talk or do like homework, they just sit down in the kitchen, crack a beer, and blast ESPN. You're like,
That's really hard because when
What do you
you're
do?
dealing with a kid like that, and he's very sensitive to sounds,
Mhm.
especially, they're blasting ESPN, and like
Yeah.
then the kid freaks out, and then the boyfriend or whoever,
Yeah.
bad influence, gets up and then hits the kid, and then
Sure.
it creates.
It's possible. No doubt.
There's movies out there that literally show that from that perspective, and it's
Mhm.
like that really should be like an eye opener for a lot of people knowing that there's people in this situation. Did you ever feel like with that kid you had to get him out of the house? Like,
oh yeah, that was at least 95% of the time. I would just take him outside. We'd just shoot hoops or throw the football.
do you feel
I'd
like
rather-
you were gonna call child services about something?
If so, they tell you signs to look for, but every case is unique, and you can't. There's no standard like this is abuse and this is not. It's just you call it when you see it. I think that they qualify for verbal abuse, but I never saw physical signs. Like so when my brother was abused, we literally saw like bite marks and bruises, and like handprints Like that's
from
pretty
himself.
No, you could tell the difference between his hand.
Yeah, because
I much larger hand.
I do want to go into that because you
okay.
said you had him in these different institutions and stuff like that.
Sure.
Okay, so what institution? You don't have to say the name, but was it his first institution? Was it his second? Was it?
So he went into it's called Shepherd Pratt in Towson. He's been in and out of that for at least 6 times now. So it wasn't his first, but I won't say the institution just because I probably shouldn't. But it was much different. It was I don't remember if it still was or if it was just like a renovated Catholic institution. It looked like a Catholic high school, and then like it just shut down and moved or something. And
if it looked like a Catholic high school, you shouldn't even brought him to the door. We all know the Catholic Church ain't the best.
It didn't look great, but
if Catholic schoolgirls are crazy, you know anybody that's Catholic's crazy.
True.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing. We weren't sure if they were. I mean, I'm sure my parents know. They know
Yeah.
more about it than I would, but they didn't. I mean, they weren't pushing the religion on him at the bare minimum. So I didn't. Like no one else was wearing like the crosses. Maybe a few of them were, but it wasn't like you were bringing out the incense and all that. It was mainly just a live-in facility. They put like X amount of kids in a room, and then they go all have a group activity, and they go eat, and they go outside. Their thing was they had a car wash every Saturday, I think, and people would drive up, and then they just wash the cars.
Mentally challenged people?
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts.
It is.
Is that forced labor, or was that like?
I guess you could say it was.
Were they enjoying it?
From what I saw, yeah.
Okay.
But,
as long as they're enjoying
it. I mean, I don't think my brother did because he hates getting wet. But maybe they had him drying.
Is it really hard to give him showers?
Very.
Does he freak out when water gets in his ears?
Oh yeah, he gets ear infections bad, so that's a problem. But so the first couple, he was there for 6 months, I think, and for a while everything was good. It was a little sketchy, but it was also pretty sad because there were easily like 100 kids in there that we knew of, just on his wing. There were probably 50 some, and they would use the same sign-in sheet for the entire year. That's how many people came to visit their kids. They said earlier where they just stick them somewhere.
That's what I was talking about when they just used to open up the door back in the day. They do it now too, don't they?
Yeah,
Fuck.
they just stick them in there and call them, FaceTime, Skype, whatever, and just say, "Oh, you're live, cool." I mean, there are some circumstances where they're like literally in another state, where they just can't afford to be there.
I think
it can't be every single one of them, right?
I think you got to look at it from both sides of the spectrum. One, how much does the parent feel like they can go there every single time and not know if their kid is responding to them or understanding that they're there? Mm-hmm. So it seems like they're just doing it and it means nothing. Sure. And also, if they're just doing it, I mean, if they're doing it, is it just because they feel like they have to? Like, I mean, people feel like that, where it really, that's why they don't even show up anymore. It's just because, like, you know, I know he's taken care of, hopefully, so, you know, I just gotta hope that's what happens and just try and move on with my life, and it's so hard to do that.
It is. So, like, the big thing with Dylan is when he was in those facilities and we went to visit him, he would think that it was time to go home. He would think that we're packing everything up.
He didn't want to be there.
He didn't want to be there, no doubt, but we were trying to explain to him that he has to be there until he stops hurting himself and others. The only times we really decided to put him in was when he physically hurt someone to the point where they needed to go to the hospital.
Who'd he hurt?
Mainly my mom, but he did hurt the school nurse when he was at Cedar Chapel, and I think the vice principal or something. A couple times. Other people. He has one-to-one staff usually, so he would hurt them.
Like, how would he hurt them? Just
usually hitting, pulling hair. He did bite one person at Chow.
I got freaking bit. Was that him, dude?
I don't think so. No, it was his one-to-one.
Okay. I got bit at one point. I don't know who the hell it was, man.
I'm not gonna say it's impossible, but I
threw a dinosaur at his head when he did it, though.
Dylan loves dinosaurs, so it's possible. It's possible. I don't know, but so he was at this facility, and it was probably like the 4th or 5th month. This whole time, it's my senior year of high school, like we just started, and I just started those APs. I took AP Psych and AP US History.
Mm-hmm.
So on top of that, with everything else, like I was in the fire department that you mentioned, I was working full time or part time, but I just couldn't go every time my parents went. They usually went for a weekend, stayed at like in a hotel nearby. I couldn't do that, and someone had to stay with the dog, so usually it was me. And I just got my homework done and all, and it was just hard for me to go there and see him in that way. I mean, it was pretty depressing. I mean, like bad lighting, and the staff just like wouldn't even like look at you when you walk by, and you see the kids, and then you see the sign-in sheet, and the next person above you was you last week. It's depressing. It's depressing.
That really
Especially-
highlight the whole fact, like, nobody gave a shit about these fucking people.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I don't mean to say people like that, but I mean,
No, I
like, nobody gives a shit about,
Yeah.
like, somebody with dealing with something like this, because,
Mhm.
dude, I mean, that hits me hard in the heart, because
It's
I'm
tough.
like, I've read, and I've got super interested in this, because at one point, like, it was to the point where teachers were telling my parents I was mentally disabled. Now, you
Right.
know me, I'm not mentally
No,
disabled,
no.
but I also had to grow up a lot from getting out of school and learning
Yeah.
what I
Right.
needed to do with my life and
Sure.
finding an outlet for my ADHD.
Mhm.
And I don't like the whole idea with drugs and kids. I do not like that. Not
Oh,
just
yeah.
bad drugs, like illegal ones, but talking about medicated ones.
Medication,
I
yeah.
do not enjoy that at
It is
all.
tough. So Dylan has taken and probably will continue to take upwards of a dozen different medications every day for all kinds of stuff. He also has epilepsy, so that's a problem. But he hasn't had a seizure in 10 plus years. So.
That's what I talk about. When we were talking about the shows that he
Mhm.
watches, the newer shows, him not being attracted to it, not just because he's not interested in it, but how difficult it must be with all the added stuff that they have in there now.
Yeah.
They have so many different colors. Have you ever seen Teen Titans Go?
Yeah, the new one.
They ruined it.
They did ruin it.
Okay.
They destroyed it. That show.
Teen Titans, I can't even look at it
Teen
the same again.
Titans.
But if you watch the original ones compared to the new
Yeah.
ones, if
It's
you watch the
depressing.
new ones now and you don't have a mental disability, you will have
Yeah.
a seizure. I don't know
Oh,
how
yeah.
kids can handle that,
That's
dude.
tough. Yeah.
That's where I say
Okay.
I feel like kids are becoming like attention deficit disorder because they're really good at multitasking now. They're like all over like OCD, like all over the place.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it just blows my mind because of how much they have to focus on. First of all, how much they have to incorporate to get them to focus.
Right.
And then bam, you got like 50 million things moving around across the screen. I'm sitting there like, it's like, all right, the best way you can explain it is sitting at the front row of the movie theater looking up at the screen that feels like it's pressed against your face. You basically have to stare in the center of the screen to make sure you can catch everything.
Right.
Like if you try and look to the left or look to the right, you're swinging your head fucking all up and down. Next thing you know, you're getting
You're missing.
whiplash.
Yeah, definitely.
So like, okay, so he gets like that.
Yeah.
When did you realize though he was getting abused?
Well, we knew there was like verbal things, and there were times when the staff, like my mom would be like, "Oh, like his milk expired," and she would let the staff know, and they'd just be like, "What do you want me to do about it?" Be
Like not giving a shit.
well, literally, your job. You're supposed to give my son like decent food, not expired milk like the little cartons we get in high school. Like,
Cloverland.
yeah, Cloverland.
Cloverfield is what it was.
Something like that, yeah. And he hated milk too, so it was a waste of time. But they didn't have juice, or like he'd have water. But they were like, his milk's expired. Like you should probably get him a new one.
Did they get him oatmeal and types of that food to eat? Like it was like a paste type thing.
It would be a lot of pasta, a lot of spaghetti, meatballs.
A lot of people don't know how cornflakes was invented.
I don't.
It was actually invented in a mental institution by Sir Harvey Kellogg. And you know why?
No.
It's prevent masturbation, my friend.
Wow.
They believe that if you made a cereal so bland and tasteless that it would decrease passions. He believed passion
Wow.
was linked to sugar.
To sugar and cereal.
Yeah, in
How about that?
1948 or something, his brother tried to do a spin-off of the cereal called, it was cornflakes, but it was with sugar in it.
Yeah, cornflakes.
And the guy's like, no, that would ruin the whole idea. People would be masturbating left and right. I'm like, well, damn, that explains why after I eat a nice bowl of freaking cornflakes, I don't feel like doing shit.
Yeah, that's a theory.
Well, it's
It's a
because
theory, I guess.
in a mental institution, they put oats and these types of things in a bowl, and they put milk on top of it, and it's like a chummy paste type thing.
Yeah.
and it soaked in the bowl long enough it created cornflakes. And the next thing you know, the guy was like, "Oh, it's like a mushy bowl of flakes," and then that's what happened. He just created that idea. But the reason why I asked is because if you go to a mental institution or you go to some place like outpatient care or something, they get treated with really, really bad food.
Oh yeah.
Like it's not the nutrition and value and all that. The food's expired. The shit's just. It's
like nursing homes and rehab centers.
The people are just there for a paycheck. They don't give a shit about the kids there. And when you stop giving a shit about the kids there, so many things starts to happen to that kid. The kid's gonna hurt himself more. The kid's gonna feel bad. You ever see the movie Kill Bill where they had the women in the coma and that dude was paying other guys to come in and have sex with them? That happens at mental institutions too. There's been many institutions that have been busted because of guys like being able to see a woman with a mental disorder where she can't like kind of function properly and just getting raped right there.
Yeah, there was the guy that impregnated the girl in a vegetative state.
Did you ever, when you're hearing stuff like this, did that ever kind of scare you about if your brother was getting like molested or something in one of these places?
Yeah, and it definitely piqued our interest into it. We didn't know for sure until Mom was Skyping him on the screen, and Dylan loves computers, as I mentioned, so he was talking to her. He's not a big phone person in conversations. He'll a couple words and he hangs up or just throws the phone somewhere. Moves on about his day. And so she was talking to him, and he muted her and then minimized the screen so he can go on Internet Explorer or whatever. And he was watching videos. So she could hear him, but he couldn't hear her. And he minimized the screen, so it was just the YouTube or whatever. And she's like, "Dylan, hello." And he can't hear her. And she's like about to hang up, and then the guy comes in, to one of the staff. And there was a second guy behind him. And he's like, "Oh, Dylan, you're done. Let's get up." And for Dylan, he requires like 2 to 3 prompts usually to get him to do something. One's to get his attention. 2 is usually to get him to recognize what he needs to do, like what you want him to do, and then 3 is to get it done. Usually, he can do it in 1. He can do it in 15. Depends on his mood mainly. But he's hyper focused on this video. It's the first time he's used a computer probably in 4 or 5 months. So he's, for him, this is candy. So he's having fun with it.
Yeah, don't take away the candy.
Right. So the guy's like, "All right, let's go, Dylan." And he's clicking. So the guy grabs him under the arm and just picks him up and throws him into the wall.
Jesus!
And then says, "Let's go, you retard," and pushes him out the door. And right on his back, right on the neck, was a handprint his size. Obviously not Dylan's hand. Dylan's hand was much smaller.
Yeah.
And then he didn't recognize Mom was on this call still, so she's watching it live.
Oh wait, so she could see everything he was doing.
She watched it live.
Now, how did you go? Would you go there and be like, "You've been hurting my son"? They're like, "We have no proof of this," and then you showed his back.
She recorded it.
Oh fuck!
She recorded it. She was trying to get a picture of Dylan because he was looking cute or whatever. She got it on camera, and then while they were talking, while she's like bawling, she sees what's going on. The 2 guys are talking, and they're talking about how they wish they could sleep with one of the people there, not one of the staff, one of the children, one of the patients. And they're like, "Yo, like she's looking thick, whatever." And the other guy's like, "Yeah, man, like she goes to bed at 10, like really, really bad stuff." So this is a solid hour and a half, 2 hours from where we were. So Mom calls Dad and's like, "This is happening." He just goes straight there. She calls me and says, "Jerred, your dad hung up on me. He's probably going to go kill somebody. You need to go there and stop him from killing somebody." And I started there, and then she called back and was like, "Well, he said he's not going to kill somebody, but we did call the sheriff's office. We're going to have him arrested as soon as he gets there. So you can turn around." So I came home, and we just waited. My dad said the sheriff deputy was there when he pulled up. And he said, "My wife, here's the video of him abusing my son and talking about raping a girl. We need to arrest them both." He's like, "Sir, that's my decision. I need you to realize that if you go in there throwing fists, I'm going to have to arrest you. You might get tased, you might get beaten up. I need you to remain calm. I need you to say what you need to say and do what you need to do. But I need to do my job. It's 2 separate things. You're a father, I'm an officer. We need to keep that boundary set." He's like, yeah. I go in, and it's overnight now. It's like 11, 10, whatever. Probably close to midnight now.
Now you got him out that night, right?
No.
The next day?
That was the goal, but the only person at night is the charge nurse. who's like the administrative staff. Obviously, everybody else is going home. They're probably asleep. So you got the overnight staff, which is going to be the worst of the worst, right? So you already anticipate it being bad, but you hope because they're asleep, nothing's going to happen. And then the charge nurse is just there just to give out meds and whatever. So Dad's like, I need my son. We're going home. She's like, actually, like, discharge papers require 2 to 3 business days. They have to be approved by the head. Like, you're going to have to wait. And then
Fuck that, you're going to rape my kid in 2 to 3 days, yo.
Right. And now that they know, like, you think maybe they'll fight back against Dylan or something. So Dad's like, he's going tonight. I'm taking him. I'll go against medical advice. I'll throw him through a window if I have to. He's not staying here. And the sheriff's like, oh, I need to do my investigation. I need to talk to the people. So he goes off and talks to the guys about what happened. They deny it, say it's a misunderstanding. They say that the way that they did what they had to do was what they were taught, and there's nothing wrong with what they did. The conversation was a joke and whatever. So the sheriff comes out and he says, I'm not pressing charges.
What?
He says, you want to follow it up, it's going to be a civil suit. I didn't see enough evidence to prove that he was physically assaulted.
And you had the recording.
The recording, yeah, of him being assaulted. But they said that, like, pushing him, like, I'm not going to say I've never pushed him, but I've never left a hand-size red mark on the back of his neck to force him out the door.
They should immediately arrest the guy for saying he wants to fuck one of them.
Well, that was a joke.
What the fuck, dude? Who jokes about raping a mentally challenged person?
Not a good person, at the bare minimum, but he said you can't arrest people for being bad people, just for breaking the law. So we're pushing for him to come out. He actually went out the next morning. They got him out of the facility. They take it up with the administrative staff and are like, we need to, not only do these people need to be fired, they need to be arrested. They say, well, we're going to do our own internal investigation, blah, blah. A week or two goes by and they say, well, we decided that he just won't work with your son. Like, that's not...
Dude,
what do you mean?
Hold on a minute. What the fuck? Wait, that was the institution that said that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. The sheriff's office said they wanted no part of it.
Obviously, they don't want any part of it because that's a big fucking thing right there, man.
They refused, and the staff was like, in regards to his comments, he's going to be put through sensitivity training. In regards to the assault, the alleged assault, he's going to be put through retraining on defensive tactics. That's it.
Oh, but that's not enough.
He's been given a week off to think about his actions.
Think about what he's going to do to the kids when he gets back?
Right. And then they're like, so we're ready to take Dylan back whenever you want to bring him. Well, what do you want us to bring him back here after you said he's going to have 1 week off, some sensitivity training, and then retrain on defensive tactics? And you're not going to do anything to the other guy that said the same stuff. Like, well, he didn't say enough to prove that he was going to cross the line. It's like, well, this was like 30 seconds that we saw. What's happening for the last 5 months, 6 months that he's been here?
Oh my God.
Like, what? Oh, like, how are we supposed to trust you? They're like,
what's done has been done. There's no hiding it. There's no erasing it. You can't just move on like it didn't happen.
They're like, well, the police obviously don't think there's enough for charges, so we don't think there is either. We're not going to fire people because if we start firing people, then we're not going to have any staff left. Like, well, then that's how that works. If you have
you fire bad people, you don't keep bad people on staff because you can't hire other people.
Yeah, I need bodies in here. Like, this isn't watching like a flower bed. These are watching humans, like children.
Yeah,
these are all children in that wing, at least.
There's so many places that are just like this that are experiencing the same stuff that your brother went through, man. And they're so left under the table. Is that why you're chasing after the criminal justice thing? You feel like you could be in that cop's position and actually do something beneficial, like arresting the guy to that?
I'd hope I would in that position.
I mean, what he did was part of his job, I guess, being right, like not having all the charges pressed. But when you have physical evidence, you need to call down and you need to be like, we need to look at this right now. Yeah, especially you should probably take you should just take a detective career and you should go after investigating places like this and finding the corruption because if you think this is just 1 in a million, dude, it is 1 out of so many more that are out there, bro. So many institutions like that, people are just there because they couldn't do something else that they wanted and they wanted to do this because this is the easiest thing. They can easily abuse people. The reason why I've never been good with kids is because when they start freaking out, the first thing I want to do is be like, stop, and like get all angry. I get upset too fast. I don't feel like that's why I can handle having kids, because of when I see one having a temper tantrum in the store, I'm like, someone locked his ass in a hot car. But it's the whole it's the whole idea, like there are some people that can't handle with those the very small steps, and I give amazing respect to people, family members that have family members like this, and also teachers that have to deal with small children. Like you are handling a big grasp on so many things.
Imagine small kids with developmental disorders. Imagine being that teacher.
They probably just act like kids.
They would, but then at the bare minimum, small kids are, rubbing their nose and playing blocks.
I still do that now.
This kid's
shit.
These developmental kids are doing whatever. I mean, they're biting themselves. There was one client I had. I mean, he was older, but if he was doing the same stuff when he was younger, which I'm sure he was. I mean, he couldn't care for himself. He couldn't do any personal care at all, like wiping his hands. And
I think it's really, really bad. I know it's like to help the kid though, like you put him in a separate class by him or with more individuals like him. But taking him out of the normal classes too, like I missed having that in my class because having that one kid with a special disorder, it wasn't like, oh, it's a performance every day. No, it's the whole aspect, like it influences you to understand these people better, because like having Mark in my class for just 4th grade, and suddenly I wasn't having any more mentally disabled people, like one. And I wasn't in a dumb class. I was in a class with other people that were actually kind of educated too. But having that one individual in there that seemed different from everybody else, seemed like he had a spark in him. And that was so, I mean, that's very formative for especially a kid that doesn't understand something like this. I believe like every kid should have a chance to experience something or get close to one of these people, just so they understand. Like, I don't even mean to say these people to sound so, but it's, they're a whole nother group of people. Like, we have the race groups, we have like the rednecks, all that type, whatever you want to call it. It's a whole nother group of people, but nobody's willing to take the time to understand more about them and take the time to, first of all, get interested in them. Because once you start looking at them on like a hurt bird, and you start looking at them like another person that just needs help, you're able to do that with them, then you can slowly work yourself to be able to do that with other people in the world. And when you're able to do that, we become a more open society where, it's not just ban the R word. It's like we don't have any words that diagnose somebody like that.
So like when he went to Cedar Chapel, one thing I liked about that school is they tried their best to make it as most as a quote-unquote normal school. So they'd have like a prom and a homecoming and the different like fair.
Give them the average experience that every kid should have, no matter what their disability is.
They'd have their individual care, and they have their staff or whatever, but they'd still be students. They'd still be learning. When Dylan left, he was reading, I think, what's that one called? Well, he read The Outsiders.
The Giver?
That wasn't The Giver. It was someone about the holes. Is that what it's called? Or hole?
That was a movie with Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, there was a book about it, though.
Oh, shit. That. No way.
It's the same thing. But
Zero.
Yeah, Zero. Yeah. That, whatever that is. He was reading that, and then he was reading The Outsiders. So he was reading, like, pretty on a 4th, 5th, 6th grade level. But, you talk to him, and it's, like, 4-year-old, like, kindergarten, 1st grade level. But he's reading at a 6th grade level. He's understanding, he's comprehending at a much higher level than what he can do. So, though he can't be as productive, I guess is a good way of saying it, or a bad way of saying it, as like normal kids or those without disabilities, he still has a lot to contribute.
Yeah.
And you just got to find a way to tap it. That's the hardest part.
A lot of my classes actually got put off into what they call enrichment classes, like better at helping more on hands with students, like one teacher, 3 kids or whatever.
Yeah.
And it would just be for like a short period or one of the periods throughout the day or something, and then you go back to your normal classes and everything like that. Well, I would experience that, and I always thought about a getaway. We get candy and stuff like this, and then we come back to class. I was put in classes with like Malik Fuchs, Chikai Woodards, all these people. Like, we're reading books and we're getting to know the teacher better. But that's where my whole other education came in, because I learned so much more into that class. I remember coming to class, it was me, Chikai, Tanya, a couple other people. It's like in one room in the library. And we're talking about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I just watched that in the morning, eating a bagel, getting ready for school.
Right.
And I'm watching the Fresh Prince, and I'm like, yo, yeah, we're just talking about the Fresh Prince for like 30 minutes. I'm like, this is awesome. This is the best class ever. And then we're reading the book, and we're trying to read these books in chapters. Now, I was like able to actually read. The only reason I think I was in these classes wasn't because I was developmentally slow. It was because I had so much energy where I couldn't sit still and pay attention to what anybody was saying. So this was like, put me in a smaller class, see if he's able to handle that. So when I was in there, we would be like, I remember, I think it was like a year later or two, it was me, Malik, and Laquan Burdell. And we were all in one class. We had Miss Frischetti. I'll never forget her, okay?
Yeah.
Now, she used to be like, go pick a book in the library and then come back and we're going to read that. And you guys are going to read that until, a week goes by and we'll see where you're at, okay? And then you get candy at the end of the day if you did something, or at the end of the class and you did something good. It's like right after lunch. And it was like for that whole hour you got back from lunch. We had B-lunch or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So we would do this, and we would always try and scare her. And we'd hide in the room first when she walked in, scare her. And then I would pick like these dumb, stupid, they look like Clifford the Big Red Dog books, like the giant ones. But they were based on religion. Like one I was reading about, it shouldn't. I need to go back to this was at BIS. I need to go back there and grab these books because they're freaking awesome. Like comic book kind of art in it. And I'm reading it, and it's about the Mayans, and it's all about a religious tale about how the Mayans, like whatever they believed in, and like you're watching these guys like in comic book illustrations kicking a head on the ground, and I'm like, these books are freaking awesome, and they're like only a paragraph a page. I'm like, bam, like reading the crap out of them. And I got really interested in philosophy, where I thought I was going to go to school for philosophy and stuff like that. But being in there and then seeing that, like, those types of classes, I don't look at them as like, oh, I feel bad for that kid being put in that class. No, they were actually some of the funnest moments of my life. And now I'm starting to realize, kind of talking to you a little bit more, I'm starting to realize I was put in a lot of developmentally slow classes. Even though I could read on a 12th grade reading level.
Right.
I just never chose to, because I chose to pick the easiest option out.
Sure.
And it seems like with parents and with people, our easiest option is just to avoid these types of people. But the real people and the real ones I give credit to are people like you that have not only, I guess, they have the opportunity to deal with these people, but they are forced to deal with these people. But it's not. I don't even want to say these people, because just saying that just is hurtful. The whole idea is you're stepping up to the plate. In a way you never thought you would step up to the plate. Where you thought, like, I just wish I was the only child. You're literally, you're taking hold of this, and you're grasping it. And whether you want to pursue something else, or just crime-wise, because you feel like, you never clock out if you're doing this as a day job. Sure. It doesn't matter, because you've already done so much as it is. You've done more than anybody that is ever probably in this life going to know about dealing with a kid with mentally challenged disorders. And it's never going to stop, because you have a brother that is experiencing this. Whether you feel like you've been lazy about it or you've neglected it in a way, it doesn't matter, because you understand his whole perspective. And a lot of them just need to be seen from their perspective to get a full grasp of what it is. I feel like if there was a way of making a virtual reality, this might be a good invention. I'm copyrighting it right now. Nobody steal this shit. Okay, so you're sitting there, a virtual reality goggles and like hand things. Now you can control your hands in the game, obviously, but everything's like you're dealing with mentally, like a mental disability, and they just type in a certain autism or something. Next thing you know, like you go to reach for a cup and then you knock everything off the table, and then like you just randomly get up and your guy starts walking away, like, sit down, no, we're gonna do this task. They try to give you tasks. Imagine me trying to give you tasks while your mind's thinking about doing them, but your brain is making everything else do the complete opposite. That would give everyone a better understanding and a better view of what these kids are dealing with on a daily basis.
No doubt.
And that would desensitize everyone from it. They would be like, okay, or no, that would sensitize them to it. And there you go. Get rid of the stigma of retardation. You want to use the word retard so much? Okay, how about I put you in the mind of a retard or a mentally disabled kid for a day? Next thing you know, you're in his seat, you're taking his control, and bam, you're feeling a whole hell of a lot different about calling someone a retard.
Right, no doubt. Did you remember his name Antonio?
Yeah.
Antonio. So when we were in
I am not going to apologize for the one day. You know, he used to go, "I'm telling Mr. Flint," like that type of thing. And that was funny. But
Yeah.
he used to tell on you if you flicked him off or whatever. And he would piss you off to a point where he would do that. But he intentionally did that.
Right.
But I remember the whole class flicked him off one time, and his brain looked like he fucking snapped. And I never laughed so hard my entire life. But I feel bad about that now because I do see him sometimes. But
Oh yeah, yeah, he's a cool guy.
good what you were saying.
Cool guy. So Antonio in middle school, because his last name was Juarez Johnson. So he would sit at our lunch table, and he was in. I don't think he was ever in one of my classes, but he also had a locker next to me because we went by last names. And so I went from, going through the full day of school, go home, and then I had Dylan at home. I was playing sports.
Then you had Antonio at school.
Antonio in school.
Yo!
Middle school is when I drew the line, and it was too much.
You were like, "Move me, please."
No, I was just mean to him, a lot.
Oh my god.
Which is sad, looking back. I wasn't always, but there were days where it was just too much. Like something was going on, whether it was like school, work, home, and then he would just be, like you said, just really annoying. Like he was just repeating things over and over, and it was just too much.
Do you feel like that?
Too much.
Do you feel bad about what you did?
Absolutely.
Now, I don't even... Now, you can't feel bad about that because everyone experienced dealing with him a lot, and it was really hard for a lot of people that don't understand. And you were just getting double the stress from that. So you can't look at yourself down for that because you're already going through so much. Yeah. Now that you realize you did kind of wrong, I realized I did wrong, and I feel bad about it because now, he's still got to live a life too. I've seen him at Warwick, and I've seen him change and things like that. And it's like, having someone like that, and now that I think we're getting older and like we're understanding this better, and it really sucks that a lot of kids, it takes that time for that to happen, but then once it does happen, you look at it a whole different light, man. It's really hard to look at someone who's not mentally understanding as well as you do and be able to understand that, and so many people are just willing to be like, "Oh, it's not me, at least." It's like, that could be you one day. You could hit your head hard enough to the point where you develop a mental disorder. Yeah. You could, get blown up in a car accident or get blown up in war or something. And next thing you know, an IED goes off and you got to relearn how to walk and talk, I've seen my buddy's dad who got lit on fire while he was doing road work. Wow. And he had to relearn how to walk. And now when he walks like a zombie, like with his arms kind of out like Frankenstein. Like he's got to do it like that because that's how he had to relearn to walk after physical therapy. Your body goes through an intense amount of stress, whether it's your brain or your physical body. Yeah. And it can mess up in a way. You don't know when you're picking on that kid. That could be you one day who doesn't understand things and drools on himself constantly.
Yeah, or it could be your kid. You could wake up and you and your wife have a baby, and 2 years later, they're doing what Dylan did. They sat in a corner and they locked themselves in the closet. They go from, like, when you come home, they'd be like, "Daddy, Daddy," and hug you, to as soon as you come home, they just look down. Never give you eye contact. And then you're like, "Well, what am I supposed to do now?"
It's sad. They relate that to a dog. When a dog doesn't give you eye contact or looks away at you, it's not that. It's just that they don't sense, like, when we talk, we look at each other in the eyes. Mm-hmm. That's because that's a sense of being focused. Right. Their focus is not on you, though. It's on everything around them. Like, colors are more attractive to them, and it's like blue is bluer. It's like someone turns the saturation up. When you're trying to process, we don't even know what they process the information. It's so freaking probably 200% more than what we do. They could be looking at like the different things. A lot of times when they shout out like a certain thing, you're like, why the hell is he shouting out a freaking, I don't even know. Like, if he's looking at a color or something and he shouts out, "Green, green, green," you're like, what? He's talking about the grass. He's looking at the greenness of the grass. It's brighter in his eyes.
Yeah, so one thing we had was, a lot of times we went to Plaza Tapatio.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff. It was in West Ocean City back when we were kids. It's the only one. It's good stuff. It didn't bother me much, but Dylan loved it. We'd eat like 3 or 4 chips.
No, it's good. It's just diarrhea when it comes out. Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
And he didn't know how to say it, mainly because it was in Spanish, but he didn't learn it. Because like McDonald's, he kind of learned as time went on. Denny's, he learned because those are easier.
You like Denny's?
We went a lot.
Fucking Denny's, bro.
He loves the zesty nachos.
Okay.
He eats the entire thing at one sitting. He's a big boy.
Damn right, man.
Big boy. But he was. We got home. We hadn't gone in a while, like because we used to always go to Pizza Hut. Rest in peace. Pizza Hut, favorite place. I had
That's
like
Salad
4 or
Bar.
5 birthdays there, man.
Now Pizza Hut.
So we were.
It's that damn Domino's garlic crust, bruh. They kill it.
Yeah, Domino's, and Papa John's.
Fuck
Cut 'em
Papa
out.
John's, yeah.
Little Caesars and all that. Cut 'em out.
Hot and ready? Really? You're a hot and ready guy?
No, I don't love that stuff. But,
Savage.
oh, you did.
It was
No.
there.
It's there, yeah. And he came up to us because we're like, hey, what do you want to eat? And he just said Cowboy Ranch. I'm like, what is that? Like the ranch? So I could pull out the Hunt Valley Ranch.
Yeah.
And he's like, Cowboy Ranch.
Let me try and think what he was saying. Cowboy Ranch. Is it a fast food place?
No, it's Plaza. Top
Oh,
tier.
it's a Plaza Tapatio? Why would he say
Yeah.
Cowboy Ranch?
Want to know why? So the ranch is that white queso. He didn't know what to call it, mainly because it's in Spanish. But
And he
also
thinks the
because-
guy with the sombrero is the cowboy?
Got it.
Damn, I was
Got
close.
it.
That's the first thing
Cowboy
I thought.
Ranch.
I was like, is he still talking about La Plaza Tapatio? Is he talking about the Tapatio guy on the hot sauce?
Yeah. Cowboy
Dude.
Ranch.
Fuck.
He didn't know what to call it. It was like it's queso or some kind of weird thing, but
Cowboy Ranch.
it was white. It looked like ranch. He called it Cowboy Ranch.
Yo, I'm gonna say that now. Cowboy Ranch.
Cowboy Ranch. That was how he got it. And we're like, it took at least 8 months to figure it out.
Dude, how did I figure
No
out in
idea.
like 10 minutes? Not even figure it out in 10 minutes. I feel like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it happened.
Wait, hold on. So did he have any other things like that too? Like any other code words that it took a while for you to
Probably,
figure
yeah.
out?
Well, now, but so like we went when we were younger, like when I was 12, he was around 10. We went to Disney World and we stayed at the Nickelodeon Hotel. So he kept saying he wanted to go to the house. So we figured, the house where he lives. And we moved recently, so we thought maybe he wanted to drive by the old house.
Wait, so he said, let's go to the house.
He just said house. I want
He's talking
house.
about Mickey Mouse's clubhouse.
He was just saying the hotel. Because we called it the house. When we were there, we said we're going to go back to the house when we get there.
Oh, I thought he was talking about Mickey Mouse's clubhouse.
I don't think that's in Nickelodeon, because that's Disney.
Then why?
Or Nickelodeon house.
You said you went to Nickelodeon or you went to Disney World?
We stayed in Nickelodeon, went to Disney World. But he didn't really care much for Disney. He did okay, but
Why are you cross-platforming?
because Nickelodeon. Have you ever been to Nickelodeon Hotel or seen it?
No.
I got slimed. That was lit. That was
Yo, hang on a
that was
second.
awesome.
The way you looked at me was with such seriousness. You're like, I got slimed.
slimed.
Like, what? I'm fucking
There was-
missing out.
There was a crowd of like 500 kids. It's probably just because I was the tallest one. But the guy pointed right at me and was like, "Get up here." They slimed me. I don't know. That's pretty much the only thing I remember from the trip, but that was enough.
It was enough.
It was enough for me.
Nickelodeon's number one in your head.
That's it. I had like the green stuff was in my
Dude, I can't complain. I remember learning how to armpit fart, and I was on the way to Six Flags, and we were stuck in
Yeah.
like the going into Six Flags.
Yeah.
I remember looking at all of the flags like Bugs Bunny and Duck. I just kept doing it over and over again. My mom's like, "Your hand's gonna smell." I'm like, "I haven't developed BO yet, so no, it's not." And I just kept going.
That's tough.
But I made my parents laugh at that one.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry, the way you just
There
said,
you
"I got slime,"
I got slime, man.
and you said
So
he
his Nickelodeon house.
was the hotel.
He started saying Nickelodeon house instead of his house. So we're like, what the hell is Nickelodeon house? Does he mean like the show? Is he trying to watch it at the house? And he just kept saying Nickelodeon house. And then eventually he was on probably Google Images or something and just physically pulled it up. He typed in Nickelodeon house and it popped up. And he just showed us the hotel. And gave it to it, the iPad or whatever. Or the desktop, I think, back then. And he was like, Nickelodeon house.
Did you go back and visit this Nickelodeon house?
We haven't been. No. Very sad.
Does he still say Nickelodeon house?
He has recent. Well, when he was in, anytime he goes to inpatient, he starts going back to his memories.
Oh yeah.
He starts.
Well,
returning.
memories, I think they're so strong for them too.
Absolutely.
They
Yeah, for
practically-
him. So like he knows every time of the year. So like he knows like earlier, a couple weeks ago he knew.
Is he really good with like calendar type stuff?
I did know I didn't have a client, but I knew a client that was really good at the calendar stuff.
That's
insane.
That's idiot savant syndrome. There's 8 different ways they can form it, whether it's music, arts. There's one called calendar savant,
Yeah.
where they remember dates very
Yeah.
specifically. If you said something, they
Yes.
can go, that happened on February 2nd, 2002, and they know the time. They know fucking everything.
The one that I knew, she would say like, "Hey, what day is like April 13th, 2025?" She's like, "Oh, it's a Thursday."
Isn't that nuts?
They're like, wait, and you look at it, it's a Thursday.
Isn't that nuts though? That blows
How?
your fucking mind, dude.
How?
Idiot savant syndrome's a real thing. I did a podcast about this with my buddy Tashawn Collins. I don't know if you know him, but dude, he was fascinated. He was like, wow. He goes, we don't even look at people with mental disabilities in this way. And when I saw his eyes light up because he doesn't know too much about people with mental disabilities. I felt like I was enlightening him on this like hidden genius. Like that's what they are, hidden genius.
Absolutely.
And then the calculation ones, you know those guys, like ones like Rain Man that do the that's even more nuts.
It's wild.
And you're wondering like, yeah, I can move my arms and drink a drink properly, but I'd rather be able to remember the date and time somebody said something.
Right.
They can get a job doing the stuff in courtrooms where they remember things.
Yeah.
Bam. Already annihilating the cart pushing thing out of the fucking segment. I'm not putting a guy that can remember the exact date and time I said something pushing carts in the snow.
That's the hardest part about finding someone with a disability and getting them a job is
no one wants to hire them.
No one wants to. I mean, they get the feds probably give them money for it, like some kind of grant, but other than that, they have no incentive. It's just like, okay, I can pay this kid $8.75 or $11.25 an hour to push the carts in, or I can have a normal kid who can also stock shelves and take over a cashier if I need him to, if we get too busy. Like, of course, you're going to choose that alternative.
You can choose the one where you have the most positive things coming out.
And a lot of the kids are even adults. They're locked out on a certain number of hours too. Like the ones at Food Line and stuff, they can only work like 20, 25.
Yeah, they restrict you so you don't get overtime.
Right.
Sad thing.
It is. But there actually are. There was one who lives in Ocean Pines. He's married. He has high functioning autism, obviously, but he's married to a woman with Down syndrome. They both have jobs, and they drive. They do all the stuff. They're in their 30s. They're
Perfectly
living the American
happy.
dream.
It's really I do get jealous with someone with mental disabilities is when they seem happy as hell.
Yeah.
Like they're completely just have no care in the
Some.
world, dude. Whenever they want to do something, they just do it.
Yeah, because they don't think about the stuff that we do. We're not like, are we gonna get is there a bomb? Is there someone gonna shoot me? Like, am I gonna get raped? Am someone gonna steal my money?
What's gonna happen if I don't get gas in my car?
Right. Yeah. What if I lose my job tomorrow? Like, they don't think about that
Just
stuff.
completely oblivious. I think that's Bliss's life, dude.
It is, but it's tough. Like, so we don't usually take him to the store like Walmart or Food Line anymore. So that's no waste of time.
Yeah.
He'll order the whole store. He does. He has a concept of money.
Does he like Cocoa Puffs?
He doesn't like cereal. He doesn't like milk. So
You don't have to use milk. I haven't used milk and cereal in years, bro.
I'm sure he's eating it, but
Good shit.
no.
Cornflakes was prevented masturbation. Does he ever have that problem? Well, there you go. Cornflakes is the solving feature.
There you go. Now we know. Yeah, he's getting food. He likes like hot dogs, because like I was saying earlier, 4th of July is coming up.
Yeah.
Pretty much every day, ask about hot dogs, burgers, because he knows that's going to be it's summertime. We do it all the time, but especially on 4th of July.
Does you try and stick to like a certain diet with him or certain restriction on foods, or just give him whatever he wants?
That's a waste of time. Give him what he wants.
Not too much sugar though, right?
He's not big on candy. I mean, he'll eat it, but he loves like sour cream cheese, like really thick,
Pasty foods.
like dairy stuff, just not milk. And not so much yogurt, but like I've never seen one person use an entire 8-ounce thing of cream cheese for one bagel.
Meet my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An entire 8 ounce of cream cheese. That's tough.
That's
it.
that.
He scoops it, and it's like cream cheese, bagel.
So he's just putting a bagel on top of some cream cheese.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, like he's adding the bagel.
So
to
it's
the
usually in
cream
a
cheese.
tub, so he just scoops it. It breaks the.
Fuck yeah,
the
dude! He's
bagel,
got it
just scoops
figured
it.
out, man. That guy's a
Chunk.
genius.
And what he did the other day was I went to the new premiere movie theater and brought home that big bucket.
Popcorn.
Yeah, to fill up. So I had all the popcorn. And he had a thing of sour cream. He put a couple of popcorn in it and then scooped it up and ate it. Put some more popcorn on it. Just kept scooping and eating it.
Bruh, I did the same thing with honey mustard with chicken nuggets.
Oh yeah, he does.
I
that
basically
with,
did a bowl
pretzels.
of honey mustard, of that Ken's steak sauce honey mustard.
Yeah.
And then fucking just, it was like soup with nuggets added.
Yeah, he does. It's like it's honey mustard, but mainly mustard, and then like pretzels, like the hard or sourdough, or even the soft ones. Just scoops it.
Dude,
All the time.
man,
Salsa, chips, you name it. He loves dipping. He makes a terrible mess, and it's disgusting.
that's the part though. It's like,
Mom's learned to put. We put him on one couch because he bounces too. It's a big thing. He shoot rocks and shakes.
does your brother have glasses? No. There's a kid in
I think he needs 'em.
There was a kid in my biology class that always used to rock back and forth, like slam, like against.
Yeah.
He'd go real slow, and then he'd go super fast. And it's
Dylan's
like, shit.
broken probably like, not exaggerating, probably 15 or 20 chairs in his life that we know of, and couches too.
I don't think he's sleeping any under the rug.
No, but like when he's at school, or like at someone else's house.
Does it ever, like, do you ever wonder if he's faking it? I know that's a dumb
probably
question
not,
to
but-
ask, but do you ever feel like sometimes, like,
So mom figured this out. He did it yesterday. Mom or dad cooked all the burgers and hot dogs and steak and stuff, and we all had our share. And he came up a little later. He doesn't live downstairs, but he hangs out downstairs a lot because it's colder and he likes to not wear a shirt. So I don't know. He just likes being down there. It's lonely. No one goes down there. So he comes up and he's got his bowl and he's just staring at the hot dogs. He loves hot dogs. So I'm like, "What? Get a hot dog. Here's the thing."
you want you
It
to do it
talks.
for him?
Yeah. He just stares at it.
That's what I meant. Like,
What?
I don't mean that you're faking it. I believe, like, he knows, like, he tries to push the barrier and see how far
Yeah.
he can get you to do shit for
Yeah,
him.
he'll literally be sitting there on the couch, or he'll literally walk into the kitchen, grab a cup, sit down, hand me his cup, and be like, "Ice water." I'm like, "You are 20 years old. Get your own ice water," and he'll just put it down and he'll just stare at it. I'm like, "Get your own ice water.
Does he do it,
You
though?
can do it." Not unless I physically get him up and bring him over, and then he'll put some ice in it, and then he'll just stop. He won't like fill it up like he always does.
Like, then you're not getting any ice water.
And
And just
sometimes he'll realize I'm just not going to do it, but I think he's gotten to the point.
He wants to
especially
be
with mom and
babied.
dad,
He wants to be babied.
He can be babied.
Did
Yeah.
I tell you, that's why they try to push the limits. You ever seen Scary Movie, that dude Doofy? You never seen Scary Movie? It's like a knockoff
I've seen
of-
bits and pieces.
It's a
but I haven't
knockoff of Scream.
seen-
The first one or
I've
whatever.
seen like
or the
the
second
one
one.
where it's like, "What's up?"
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen stuff like it, but I haven't
That
seen
part. That guy that's a serial killer and killing everybody,
Yeah.
he's Doofy. And his name's
Okay.
Doofy. He plays like this mentally challenged guy.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be like a fake cop, and everyone just makes fun of him the whole time. And at the ending, he turns out to be a serial killer. I was like, that's how they did it. He played dumb the whole time. But the whole idea is that
Yeah.
I think sometimes they do play a little bit more innocent than
No
they
doubt.
actually are.
No doubt.
Trying to push
Yeah.
the barrier.
Yeah. So one of the things Antonio used to ask for was me to buy him Gushers at lunch. And I'm like, "Dude, I don't
He
like
gets enough at home.
No, you don't need Gushers." And he's like, "Gushers, like ask your mom and dad."
Because he knew he can get away with some stuff, yeah.
Because he knows that my mom has a softie and will buy him whatever he wants. My dad probably not, but mom and dad probably would, because mom would make him. But yeah, he would just be like, "Ask your mom and dad when you get home. Buy one Gushers. Like come home, or when you come tomorrow, bring $1 and buy me Gushers." I'm like, "Antonio, I'm not. If I'm getting $1, I'm buying myself Gushers or a cookie or something. I'm
Damn
not
right,
buying
dude.
you some Gushers."
That's
And he's
been
like,
on
"Ask
my-
your mom and dad." And he did it every single lunch,
Oh my god.
every single shift.
I think he did that for a lot of people, though. He went to different
He
tables
did,
tried
and
to
people
get,
would buy them. Or they just hand them their stuff. They'd be like, "Oh, like I have, Hershey's or Reese's or something."
Yeah.
Yeah, they know how to finesse.
They try. They
They know how to finish.
try and
They learn.
they try and play a little.
They
bit.
learn. What else Dylan does is, when he gets food envy pretty bad. So when we're sitting eating our meals, because my parents are on that keto diet, so
Oh,
they'll
shit, yeah.
they'll get that like the burger, but they'll do the lettuce wrap, and to me and Dylan will get pizza. We're just sitting there, and I get Dylan his pizza. He puts it down, and he walks over, and he puts his hand over my dad's shoulder, and he's like sitting next to him, and he's like talking to him, and then he'll put his hand down. He'll like distract my dad. He'll put something, like he'll point or something, or he'll drop something over there. Dad will reach over and grab it, and Dylan will just grab his plate and run.
What
Yes, he
a
does
boy!
He does that all the time. He'll come right over to you. He's like rubbing your head, and you're like, "What do you want? What do you want?"
Fucking wash this hand while
And
this one's working
sometimes
on the wings.
it's like he just can't make the words, so you think that's what's going on. So you grab his attention. You're like, "Dylan, what do you want? Use your words," and he'll just run.
Damn!
looks the other way.
Snatch and grab, yeah, like a little raccoon, man.
Yeah.
Just walks up.
And sometimes you can guess. So especially when I come home with leftovers, he'll be, "What you got? What you got?" I'm like, "Nope." I'll go hide it downstairs, lock my room, and I'll wake up in the morning or whatever, and I'll make it in the microwave, and he'll be standing there, and I could see him in the reflection of the microwave.
It's like, yo, I waited 12 hours for your ass to wake up. I did not move from this spot.
I was certain he was going to be asleep still. I open it, and there he is standing there, and he just. I'm like, yeah, I got to give him some. Usually give him half, and you just either scarf it or sprint.
Yeah, but those moments where you're laughing at and you're telling me this, it's like you look at those and you realize, like, you are gifted too, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or you feel like it might be dragged down a little bit, but you've learned to overcome just like boundaries and stuff like that, and be able to be a little bit more sensitized to people like that, man.
Two of the nicest, greatest people I've ever met on this planet were aides for Dylan, long term. One of them is his current aide, but one was one of his first way back when, and they were both two completely different people, but I've never seen someone outside of our family care for him nearly as much. Like, we've had guys that just come in and be like, take the remote and just sit down and be like, "Y'all got HBO?"
Damn,
That's
dude.
like, yeah, you're supposed to be watching him, but I guess you can watch TV and eat our food. That's cool. Or there'll be people that are like on their phone, like talking about their boyfriend or their other job and crying about taxes or something. And then Dylan's just destroying stuff. And they'll literally watch us while we're we're getting ready to leave for dinner. And so they watch him while we go eat, and he'll just be running around doing something. And they'll just stare at us. You're getting paid like $15 an hour.
Yeah, dude.
Go do your job.
I don't like people that just feel like they can cheat the system.
Yeah.
It's like, no, look, you gotta actually, if you're gonna take the time to even willing to sign up to be an aide for someone like that, you actually have to do the work. You can't just bullshit and expect that to be an easy thing to get past.
There was one, I don't even remember her name, but I was in my room when I was like probably 8 or 9, and I was like, I really wish I had a switch or something. Like, back then I had I don't know if I'm calling it idea for Alexa, but I was like, I wish I could use my voice to turn on the stuff, like to turn off my lights so I wouldn't have to get up. And I mean, it was literally like from here to yours, like a couple feet. And she was like, "I've never seen a kid so lazy." I'm like, what? I go to school all day, and then I go to play sports, basketball, soccer. Football.
I'm a kid. I also want to
8
sit
years
down
old.
and let my body relax.
I'm like, yeah, of course I'm lazy when I'm home. Isn't everyone?
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
does anyone actually go home from work and then clean?
No, I hit
Then
the
go to bed
dude.
and then clean and then
I
eat,
take,
and then go
dude.
to
I
work?
get home from work, go to the gym, come home, don't do shit unless there's a podcast lined up.
Yeah. Like, no one goes home and is like, I need to do more work.
I need
Unless
to
they
go
need to do
clean
it.
the whole house and sell all my
Yeah,
furniture on eBay.
Like, I need to go exercise. I need to go walk down my hallway a bunch of times.
Hey, I leave the house and go exercise.
Right. Yeah, you don't stay at home and exercise. I mean, you could. Some people do.
Who the fuck exercises?
You can do light exercises, but you don't exercise.
I do maybe 400 ab rollouts every morning for before I wake up and eat, and then I go and work out for 2 hours.
Yeah.
But
That's different.
I'm also a crackhead, so.
But she's looking at it like a 10-year-old kid, like, you're the laziest kid I've ever seen in my life.
They all
How
say
can you
that.
say
Don't every adult says that. I used to sit
How
inside
can
and
you
play
say
video games, and my grandpa be like, "You're so lazy." I'm like, dude, I saw you pass out 8 times today in that chair watching Cowboy, whatever the hell it was, John Wayne movies.
Yeah. My dad used to hit me with that, I used to walk to school uphill both ways, and you get to ride the bus, you're lucky. And I'm like,
You walk
what?
uphill both ways?
It's not
How the
possible.
fuck do you do that if the hill
not
goes up? You gotta walk it down.
Unless you live on top of the hill.
Oh shit.
That's the only
But
way.
school would be at the bottom too.
But he went to Decatur. There are no hills. He used to
What?
set stuff up, I know. But
Messing me up, Dad.
there's all those people that are like, a guy had it way harder than you. Like, we had to watch TV. We didn't get color.
Back in
We
my
had
day,
6
we didn't
kids.
have cell phones.
Yeah, we didn't have.
Back in my day, we weren't online, we did lines. I'm like, oh
Did
shit. Alright, well, sorry. I don't have cocaine like it's the 70s.
Yeah, it's tough. Tough world, but
It's tough. It's a tough war out there for a pimp.
yeah.
But dude, honestly,
That's
just talking to you, and then now kind of being. I mean, first of all, me understanding a couple things about myself, and where I kind of need to educate myself a little bit further on mentally challenged. Would you say I did a proper, I guess, understanding of the basis of what a lot of people miss.
Oh yeah.
With developmental disorders,
Mm-hmm.
and like kind of you took the time to go farther out into it and also kind of dive into that and trying to kind of diverge out of it.
Yeah.
Just to go with like crime and law and all that. But
Yeah.
you know, I appreciate you being so opening. Just like
Yeah.
first of all, coming down and being on the podcast. I know you said you wanted to talk about some stuff, and like, do you feel like we covered a lot of what you wanted to talk about? Like anything you
Well, I did want to tell you about my future plans.
What are your? I asked about your future plans. You want to do crime stuff.
Well, that's what I did. That's what I wanted to do, but then I had my car accident.
Okay, what are your future plans now, son?
Future plans now. So I'm at UMUC,
Okay.
online college, at the grad school.
Okay.
Going to grad school, making that mistake. I'm studying emergency management.
Emergency management?
Yep.
What's that? Like your
No.
bank account gets hacked and your...
No, it's like like FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Yeah, no, okay. So the
You said
emergency
FEMA, I
management-
immediately thought of PETA.
PETA.
Fucking animal crackers.
No, not quite. FEMA's the emergency management is overseeing operations during emergencies, specifically
Like tornadoes and hurricanes
disasters
and all that shit?
so
Oh,
there's-
shit, no way.
We
Disaster
categorize
relief.
it in disasters and then what's the other one? I forget what the other one's called now.
Terrorist attacks?
Well, yeah, basically terrorist attacks. Yeah, incidents. So I think that's what it's called. Which is man-made, naturally, right? So we have their disasters will be your hurricanes, floods, tsunamis, earthquakes, that kind of thing, forest fires, and then you got your terrorist attacks, your shootings, school shootings, your serial killers, I guess. You get and even just power outages, mass wide. So it's like the overseeing of that operation, getting a whole team together, and then you got finance and operations and a lot of command stuff. So passing down orders. I want to be that guy.
Damn right, dude.
You ever seen when Ocean City Bike Week and stuff? They have that RV. State Police has one. They call it emergency operations. That's emergency management. They're
No
behind
way.
the scenes, inside there. You don't usually see them. I mean, you might on TV. They're usually the guys that are with the governor. We're doing all we can to stop this hurricane, but we can't.
I immediately think of those people that have to get rescued off a boat somewhere.
Yeah.
So there's people that come down in helicopters. You want to do something like that?
I want to be the guy that oversees the people that do that stuff.
Oh, so you want to be this is what we need to focus on?
Yeah.
This is how we're going to handle this
Yeah,
situation?
it's management of emergencies.
Where did you want to get that from?
So I got that from, it's in the fire department. There's the instant commanders, all the chiefs and whatnot. And then in the police department, you have the chiefs. I mean, it's kind of the same deal. But, I've been in public service, public safety for 7.5 years now. Between the fire department to now.
You want to be the big brother of people.
Yeah. But not the guy that, just searches your house to see if you got drugs. I want to actually help things and do things.
You want to
that's
help with
helpful.
disasters where someone's losing their house in a forest fire. You're trying to figure out how to neutralize that fire.
So recently, a couple weeks ago, I started up with the Red Cross. They have a volunteer.
Good for
Fire.
you, dude.
It's fun. It's called the Disaster Action Team, where you spawned out mainly to house fires. They get calls, the American Red Cross, not the Red Cross. But
Yeah.
Just the American Red Cross. They get called 60,000 times a year, United States at least. Mainly to house fires, but it can also be the widespread disasters, the floods and hurricanes that you see on TV. They're handing out the waters and the blankets and stuff.
Dude, you live your life helping people with needs, and now you're going to help people in need.
In need.
What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
You are
Fun
literally
stuff.
what every person should aspire to be.
I think
6'6", freaking shaved head,
Yeah, shaved head always.
gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
God damn.
Yeah.
You Brad Pitt
Brad
motherfucker.
Pitt. I don't know if I got that far.
Dude, emergency services is a big thing, no
Yeah.
matter what it is, if it's disaster relief or being a paramedic. You are literally focusing, especially management of it too.
Right.
You know who the main people are? You think of your pilot as being someone, oh, thank you, sir, you've done so much to save my life. How about you thank the guy on the recording line that's sitting there talking to him,
Right.
oh, you're going to lower your engine by 3.2 degrees and you're going to turn left to right. They're making sure those planes don't crash into each other with 100 of them flying everywhere, and they're trying to figure out which airspace you want to land towards. That's why every time there's a bad plane crash like that, and those operators immediately put down their thing because they basically just lost their job, those people want to kill themselves after that. Because they're literally like, I just caused a whole bunch of people to die. And it's not even their fault. It could be a whole plane of the pilot's malfunction.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so emergency management. There's 5 main parts to it. Call it. I think it is. It's prevention. Shoot, I'm forgetting it.
Preparation.
Yeah, preparation basically. Prevention, preparation, mitigation is the other one. Response and recovery. Those are the 5 stages, if you will.
FERMA.
FEMA. It's a federal emergency management agency. They're a subset of the Department of Homeland Security. But yeah, so they do the prevention and preparation. There's protection is the actual one. So like prevention obviously would be for like shootings and fires if you can help it, but it's mainly like the protection against. They also it's kind of mitigation too. It's taking the effects of what would be like mass casualty events and making them on a smaller scale.
Yeah, reducing. Yeah.
And then you have the response, which is actually going out, and the recovery afterwards. And it's all the above.
Nobody ever wants to do the cleanup.
Everybody wants to come to the fire and kick in the door and
get all the attention.
Spray it. And
then when it's all over with, nobody wants to clean up all the mess.
Which is what I'm doing at the Red Cross.
Dude.
They show up after the fire, well, during, usually, and they meet with the family and they start with services. They give them like a
water
and stuff like that, but they also have them with lodging.
Yeah.
If they don't have it.
You need a home.
You need a home. Here's a house. Here's a hotel for a couple days, and here's a credit card. Here's referrals to
get you on your
disaster mental health.
Dude, we can get rid of the homeless population if we just dealt a little bit harder and put them in homes that are being used.
Right. Yeah.
We got to take the time and investing into people, and nobody does.
Plenty. I can tell you from now living in the Baltimore, D.C. region.
There are plenty of homes that can be open to homeless people.
Plenty. If somebody took time of day, yeah.
The fact that someone has to get arrested that's homeless just to get out of the cold when it's snowing out and just to get a meal. How many of them are in prison just to get meals and being able to have a bed?
Especially in the cities. And the worst part is, the judges just cut them loose. They're like, public urination, pay me $50. If they had $50, they probably wouldn't be peeing outside. Or the police station saying, "Hey guys, come arrest me."
Either,
yeah. We learned about that in one of my classes, like all those fees that people get, especially like for me, I've seen it in like traffic tickets, where it's like $90 fee, but you're paying $270 in the end. You're like, how is that possible? It's like the court fees, and then it's like the local fees, and then taxes on it. And then it ends up being 3 times the amount. So you might be jaywalking ticket. I think in Ocean City is like what, $25?
Yeah.
$20. But you might end up paying $100 before you leave, just because of all
those added on fees, bro.
And I think isn't it like a $5 fine for profanity on the boardwalk, something like that?
I hope not, because I used to use profanity. You're not gonna tell me how to use my language. I don't cuss though to be mean. I cuss just to cuss. It's just cussing.
It's a language. It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, if
the fact that we have any words that are banned, I don't think are like. There's 4 words you can't say. It's like, all right, I don't like how you can't say those words, but at the same time, it doesn't mean I'm gonna go off saying them. I just feel like they're words, They impact who they impact, but at the same time, don't take anything against it unless someone's being really derogatory towards someone.
Sure, yeah. So I mean, like, there's difference of like cussing at someone and cussing with someone.
Yeah, or just cussing out.
Cussing, just talking. I mean, big difference, but yeah, I mean, you could take that little fine and end up paying a lot more for the homeless or even the poor people that get.
And even all that food that expires and they throw out at the same day of its expiration, it still lasts like a good couple weeks after that package is not open. So it's like that could be all donated somewhere, but they literally want to see you jump in the trash and pull it out. That's the whole thing.
Yep, and then arrest you later for it.
That's ridiculous, dude. Yep. Well, dude, I mean, where you've made a change, in, at least in my eyes, about someone out there is going to hear just someone about developmental disorders is going to be able to realize, like, maybe a kid's going to hear it and be like, hey, I'm going through what that guy went through, and see that he's doing better things and got past all that, and they're going to look past that.
It's easy. I mean, it's not easy, but it's doable if you focus on it.
Yeah, you just have to take the time.
I was hyper focused on whatever, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's just the way I chose.
Realize that, if you're a child that has a sibling that is dealing with this and you feel like all the attention's going into that sibling, not into you, it's because your parents know that you're going to end up leaving and becoming something. Why it's a possibility that your family member that has this disorder is not going to be able to ever leave the house.
Yeah, my parents have talked to me about it 12 times about what's going to happen if they pass on.
He's going to have to go somewhere. You're going to have to take care of him.
They're like, I mean, it's your choice, but here's what we prefer you to do. Like they've actually written out like what all his medications and all the contact numbers, all the passwords.
It's like
all
writing
the
a
stuff.
will, but it's like...
It's a living will.
Yeah.
It's always ready to, like, if me and your dad die in a car accident tomorrow, here it is. Here's how you get to the bank accounts. Here's his medications. Here's his psychiatrist. You know, if they both die of, like, cancer or something.
God forbid.
I mean, yeah, God forbid, of course. But, you know, if that is the reality, I mean, my family could help. My extended family.
But do you feel like
They
you
don't
would be stepped up to the plate to handle
I
it?
still have family members that are like, why does he still hit himself?
Oh, fuck.
I'm like, why would you ask me that? I don't know why he's hitting himself.
He just
We
does
can't
it,
tell.
man. If we think you knew that, we would just let him hit
If we knew
himself.
why, we wouldn't let him. We wouldn't make it happen. Like, we don't go around like, you know, it'd be fun if we watch Dylan hit himself today.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Let's do that.
That's such a dumb way of thinking of things, too.
You know what's really funny is a lot of people say that, you know, like, have you ever thought like a therapy dog or like one of the service dogs or something?
So he hits the service dog?
He doesn't have one, no. We just have a dog. We have a pug. We just got a puppy in February. And we had 2 pugs before that. And he didn't, I mean, they were both just kind of there. They never really interfered with each other. Obviously, if the dog barked, he got mad about it. But the dogs would usually stay out of his way. They learn, like, he has a path that he runs. They learn not to lay there because they're going to get kicked or pushed or something. And then they learn, like, once he is eating, if you sit there and stare at him long enough, but you don't scratch him, he'll give you something. He'll give him a little pretzel or something.
They learn how to adapt to him like he adapts to you
He
guys.
adapts to them. Yeah, he adapts to them and they adapt to him. It's really cool. It's fun to watch because they, now with our puppy, he's running a lot, and I'm downstairs, so he's running upstairs, and the dog can always tell when he's running. But whenever he's like just walking, or like he's just not really into it, she just kind of stays there. But when he's excited, she wants to run with him, and like sometimes they go back and forth. So she tries to steal his food whenever he gets up. He leaves it on the table, so then she'll go up and steal it. And then when she's asleep, he'll take her toys.
Oh, I'm getting you back, yo. That's what he's thinking from.
Yep. He's taking her toys, their bones, or.
That's fun though, man. Because you give something like that, you can't look at that as like abusement or something.
No,
That's like
he's not abusing her.
it's like they're both working together, and it gives him a little bit of incentive and activity to kind of be himself too.
Yeah.
Not feel like he has to be restricted because everyone else is kind of functioning in a different way.
And sometimes they'll actually like take the toy and throw it just to watch her run after it. But he hates like slobber. Like I say, he hates getting wet, so he doesn't try to mess with it after she bites it. But
You gotta get a Leon burger, dude. It's one of those giant, like Newfoundland-sized dogs.
Oh yeah.
They literally bred in Russia to hunt bears, but they have no drool glands, none of that stuff. So it's like a Newfoundland minus the drool. Newfoundlands drool a lot, but like, imagine that, dude. This giant fluffy bear-like thing. He would have so much fun with that, and you don't have to worry about him hurting that thing either because it's so big.
True. Yeah.
So giant. If it can take a bear, I'm pretty sure it can take your
Probably take him.
brother.
Probably. He's what, 6'4", 200 pounds.
Oh shit, that's like a bear.
He's a big guy.
Well, dude, I appreciate you, first of all, even coming down and being this open on a podcast, man, because, like, I know it was weird, and I asked you a while ago, and you're like, yeah, well, maybe when I get back, and the next thing I know, you're hitting me up. I'm like, yes, he still wants to do it, hell yeah.
Yeah, I've been wanting to. I just, like I said earlier, because it was right before my accident that you messaged me.
Yeah.
So I was dealing with that.
Oh, dude, I had no even idea about that, dude. I'm so sorry, man.
It's whatever. I got a better car now.
There you go. Moving on up.
I'm suing them and get some money later.
Who hit you? Was he drunk?
No, they weren't drunk. It was actually a 4-car accident,
Oh,
including
shit.
mine.
Just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, probably. I'm 99% sure the car all the way in the back, the fourth, because I was in the front. The fourth car, 99% sure they were Facebooking and driving. They had that Karen look.
Maybe they're like me.
So-
They had to use Messenger to connect to these people
It's
to get on a
possible,
podcast.
but they shouldn't be doing it while they're driving.
Yeah. Stay off your phones, everybody.
Yeah.
Stay off
while
your
you're
phone.
driving.
Stay out of sight.
Sure.
Well,
Sure.
Jerred, thanks for being on this episode of Out of the Blank Podcast,
Absolutely.
and we get you on again soon.
Yeah, appreciate you having me.